Well, good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with you on a Tuesday, December 5th. Lot to talk about. It's a lie. Lot to talk about, actually. There is a lot to talk about. There's not a lot happening. Does that make sense? There's actually topics on the table.
It does not.
There's things to talk about, but there's nothing firm. There's nothing real. It's just going to be a bunch of
nothing rigid.
Yeah, there's nothing rigid today. There's no meat to just tear rip your teeth through. A bunch of hullabaloo out there. Somebody asked me to work a word in today, and I can't remember what it was, and it wasn't hullabaloo, but I went for it.
An incorporator.
Yeah, he goes, I dare you to work this in tomorrow. And I said, done.
Someone's challenging Woods to an incorporator.
I mean, in my sleep, I can do these.
It's a lot easier, actually, during our 4-hour show than during Jesse's, 3-hour baseball broadcast.
I can do 4 hours of the incorporator, to be honest. But no, it is great to be here with you.
We give you 12 words with 12 segments.
I could easily do it. It wouldn't even be a problem for me, Paulie. It's good to be here, though. It is. I'm feeling a bit bitchy and a little bit spicy this morning, so that should be fun. Probably going to come off like a huge a-hole. That's fine. That's about par for the course as well. But listen, I'm pretty convicted on things, and we'll get into that. I think probably ASAP. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He is the executive producer and the YouTube director, creative force on the show. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Ben Higgins, your friendly, and I do mean friendly, sports anchor, joins us as well.
Maybe overly friendly at times.
I would say probably, I probably would say
You
that.
know that I'm at least mildly concerned that you're going to get me into hot water with the establishment.
Yeah,
morning.
and it's probably a valid concern that you have. But I think the establishment, Ben, has really, really pushed me too far at this point. And there's a lot of different establishments, in town. You got the establishment at home, right, with wife and kids. That's an establishment. You've got the establishment, the bosses here, and I know I certainly push that envelope. That's all done out of love. I do love them. I'm really grateful for this platform. Like, so grateful for this platform that Michael and Adam and Odyssey has provided. Like, I love it so much. Probably too much, if I'm being honest. Extremely. So the other establishment, well, there's, local sports media. And that's the establishment that I would like to talk about this morning. And, yesterday the winter meetings were going down. I had it on most of the day. It's pretty, you know what I like? You're not going to get much from the GMs, and we certainly didn't get much from ours yesterday. I mean, Paulie's, I heard him over there clipping the audio, and part of me goes, what for? There's nothing to ascertain from it.
Now, to be fair, yesterday was even for a quiet winter meetings day, it was quiet.
Like massively quiet.
News-wise, there was almost nothing that happened yesterday.
The only thing that almost happened was a secret deal for Eric Fetty, and we still don't know exactly where he landed. Okay, he's a pitcher. You said he was in Japan?
I believe so.
Okay, I thought he was in the KBO.
Was it Korea?
I can't remember.
I thought someone said NPB, but...
Okay, so the only thing that really happened yesterday was a deal for Eric Fetty that was kept under wraps, and it's one of two teams. The Mets or the White Sox are going to get Eric Fetty for allegedly 2 years, $10 million.
And I think A.J. Hinch got a secret contract
He got an extension.
And that's about it yesterday.
It was just very, very quiet. Very, very quiet.
KBO.
He
was KBO,
yeah.
Okay.
So I had the winter meetings on. The thing I liked about the winter meetings, though, they had they were rolling the managers through. I saw Skip Schumacher do a great interview. You know who I loved? Freaking Rocco Baldelli. I watched his whole thing and I went, God dang, what a guy to play for. Like, really, really came away impressed with it. Those are the things that I took away from yesterday. Those were the greatest part of the day. So as we were planning yesterday's show, this is where it gets a little bit spicy. We'll probably get a little bit heated. It certainly did in the text thread between the three of us. Poor Paulie.
Mommy and Daddy fighting at the dinner table.
Well, listen, who's mommy in this scenario? Him or am I mom?
Probably me in that in the stereotypical relationship, at least, mom is the voice of reason while
Right.
dad's more of the hothead. That's not always the case in every family dynamic. But if we're talking, sitcom 1960s version of the family, I'm probably the calm down, honey. It's it's gonna be fun.
You'll
And
be all right.
You're the blow your top, come home from work. What happened today? And when you get back, slam the door and walk in really loudly kind of guy.
True. I'm really that guy in real life, too. So we thought to ourselves, well,
I'm really the calm down, honey.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay. Let's
The story starts at about 10:30 yesterday morning.
10:30 yesterday morning.
Kicking around ideas for
Yep.
today's show.
So Paulie says to us, hey, bing, wouldn't now be
It was my idea.
Oh, I thought it was yours.
No, I
was yours.
I said it first.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Ben says to us, hey, Woodsy, I know you'll probably say no, but wouldn't tomorrow be a really good time to interview new Aztecs head football coach Sean Lewis? And I stopped for a moment and I said, yeah, it's actually really, really good idea.
Which shocked me.
Well, and here's why. We had just talked about, here's my reasoning. So gets the hire last week, does the press conference, does his responsibilities on the flagship, does some media. Great. The dust is settled on Sean Lewis. It's settled. Great time for us to introduce ourselves, to meet him. I was the one raving about him in the presser. You actually didn't think he did that great of a job.
But I hadn't had a chance to talk to him personally, so I thought, all right, we like most people didn't give the Aztecs much oxygen this football season because they didn't give us any reason to talk about them. It was a miserable season. Fans were uninterested.
It's terrible.
It was a bad football year for San Diego State. So, you would expect, we didn't really talk about him much. But I thought, okay, fresh start, new coach. They are certainly trying to push some season ticket sales. I heard them say that a million times. Sean Lewis said it. They want to get some excitement going. They want to get people into Snapdragon Stadium next year. Let's extend an olive branch and show our willingness to give them talk some San Diego State.
Whoa.
Oh,
What?
God, here we
What
go.
in the F are we
God.
extending an olive branch for? An olive branch means we did something wrong that we need to apologize for.
I don't see it that way. I just see that we didn't talk about them at all, and now
No,
we're
we
willing.
did.
We're showing our willingness to talk about them.
Nope, we absolutely talked about them. We talked about every game that they played, every game that they lost. We are a sports
Maybe
radio.
for like a minute.
Well, how much do you want?
Not much.
It was a dumpster fire.
That's why I thought it wasn't worth talking about much. But I thought maybe this year will be different with the new coach.
Okay, that was also my thinking.
Yeah.
Again, I was in here lauding the hire. Think it's a great hire. What was my quote? You know what? What they need to do is they need to find a way to get the casual fan, the guy that didn't go to San Diego State but lives here, me, right? Ben didn't go there. Get us to the field. Give us a reason to pack my kids up on a Saturday, spend pretty exorbitant money for that product, to go out to that new stadium, which is pretty cool, to watch a football game. I want to see some high-flying offense. We all said, this is how you do it. Great job. So, no big deal. Paulie makes the ask, and I wouldn't say I was banking on it, but I would say on an excitement level of getting to talk to the new coach who, again, what do I love more than anything? Coach speak. He crushed it. He had all kinds of good little fun things that he said, and I like where his head's at. So let's get this thing going. Let's have him on.
I think I actually used that exact phrase of now that the dust has settled.
Yeah, now that the dust is settled. So we get this back, man. And this is kind of what set me off and set off a text thread that was pretty epic.
Oof.
From their PR person wrote back, thanks for reaching out. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get him on with your morning show. We're doing a few national outlets and some stuff with our flagship, but mostly leaving him to get the staff and recruits in for the rest of the month. Thanks. So for me, it was more of the tone of like, we're not going. It wasn't.
He's not going on your morning show.
Yeah, that's what the tone was.
Not tomorrow. He just said, no, not happening.
Typically, it would be, oh man, bad week for us. We're slammed. We got this going on, that going on. we'll get to you.
We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
What does the next week look like?
So you may hear this go, Woodsy, come on, man. They're busy. Okay. What if I told you this wasn't the first time? What if I told you it wasn't the second time? What if I told you it wasn't the 7th time? So here was my...
First time with Sean Lewis.
Well, he just got here, but not an ask of the Aztec. It's been going on for a while. So
about 4 years.
Yeah, so I wrote back and I go, Ben said, I'm irritated. And I said, how many more times, guys? How many more times? And I said, what a disservice they are doing to their program. It's not about us or our ego. Also, Sean Lewis, nice guy, not a massive needle mover just yet here in San Diego. If I had a business, if I had a concert, and I did a concert last year, Ben, and I sold 69 tickets, which is about accurate, I would want to promote my next year's concert to sell more. That's just good business. Not coming on the show is not smart business. Has nothing to do with ego. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's just dumb business, and it doesn't make sense, and it pisses me off because they're doing him and their fan base and their university a disservice by not. You got an ad out that says better get season tickets now. We can help you sell season tickets.
I want to ask, okay, why? Let's get into the whys of, do you want people to buy season tickets? How is it going to be different? We've heard some, rumors about fast-paced offense. I want to know more. I want to get to know this guy a little bit and what he's going to bring to San Diego State.
100%.
That's why I made the ask.
Well, and again, it's at this point after, like I said, 7-8 times in the last couple of years. We're done asking. You got what you wanted. Like, we're not going to be asking for, I'm not going to be giving a lot of oxygen to, because it's there in this business. What's the radio for? It's to inform you. It's to entertain you. But let's be honest, it's to promote. When AJ Cassavell comes on today, he's going to promote what he wrote. He's also going to try to entertain and inform. When Dennis Lynn or when Eno Saris comes on, he wants to promote what he's talking about in The Athletic.
Even an Odyssey employee here at 97.3 The Fan, Sam Levitt, is going to promote all of the work that he did yesterday
and
at the
inform
meetings.
and try to entertain. That's really what it's about. This is dumb. It's just not smart business at the end of the day.
Now, I understand. You can't go on every show, podcast, every outlet all the time.
We're not every show and every podcast.
I get it.
That's what I'm saying. Do you, though? Because I feel like, because you yesterday were like, oh, we got to be careful. What do we have to be careful of them? Are they going to take away, are they going to take Padres interviews from us now?
Oh, no, that's not. I just don't want us to seem arrogant, like
it's
you
not
have to come
arrogance.
kiss the ring of Ben and Woods or something like that.
We've never acted like that.
That's what I don't agree with.
We have never, ever acted like that. How is it arrogant to say, we'd like to help you grow your business? That's the opposite of arrogance, literally. Let me help you grow your business.
It implies that you have the power to do that.
It doesn't imply it.
I know we
do.
The
numbers imply it.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
It's not self-serving because, well, quite frankly, you heard it in that email that they sent. Like, they have another radio station,
which is exactly fine. Like, good. Padres go across the street. I don't ask my pants about it.
Right.
I get it. This is a town where the two biggest things we have are the San Diego Padres and the San Diego State Aztecs. And the basketball program, you're not going to need much help from us. Right? You guys have done the job.
Yeah.
But as you build this, you do need our help. But now you don't get it.
Well,
now you don't get it.
You have
Eight times.
You have to do it the old-fashioned way. You have to be really, really good, maybe challenge for a spot in the college football playoff, and force everybody to be interested in it. And then, of course, we'll talk about it.
Now you don't get it. I won't.
If everybody in San Diego is talking about San Diego State football, we will talk about San Diego State football, right?
Enjoy yourself. I shan't be doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
So even if they go 12-0 next season and they're going to the college football playoff,
eight times,
you don't want to talk about them.
I don't.
I would.
Go ahead.
I absolutely.
I'm not telling you can't.
as the
I'm telling you, I won't.
That's what I'm saying. I'll be fair. I'm not going to be unfair and not talk about an interesting. If they are an interesting team that San Diego is passionate about, and they're selling out Snapdragon Stadium next season because they're putting up 40 points a game and they are winning and they are dominating and everyone's excited about them, then great. We will talk about them. That's fine. That's what you need to do.
Well, but
I was hoping that
they
we could do that before, help them on their path to that.
That's what I thought today would have been a perfect day. And again, we're such an easy interview. It's such a lighthearted scene.
Softball
That
after
email,
softball after softball.
That email pissed me off. Straight up. It pissed me off. And I thought to myself, okay, if you don't want my help, then guess what? You're never going to get it. That's not petty.
Let me talk
as business
as well. The only one on this show that attended San Diego State and the one that makes all of these requests for interviews. I'm done
making the ask.
I'm done making the ask.
If you ask a girl out,
we didn't even bother asking for Brian Dutcher in the March Madness in the NCAA tournament last year because the answer was you can't talk to him.
Right.
We haven't had. When was the last time you heard Brady Hoke on this show? Rocky Long on this show? We've had more, current national champion coaches call into the show than the local football coach because we can't get the interview. So I'm done asking.
It's you ask a girl out 8 times. Number one, you're kind of a creep, and you keep getting shot down, and you keep going back. Not this guy. No more. It's not personal. It's really not personal. And you made it.
Personal
You've made it personal at this point. I'm not going to sit here and say you have to kiss our ass and blah 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 blah. Put your coach on a highly rated, big listenership show to help move tickets next year. Use us. That's what you use us for. This is the dance, right? Give me your coach. We'll laugh it up with him. Have him tell us. I'll probably ask him what his favorite music is. I mean, guys, this is not hard.
It's not one loss you have to defend at this point.
It is a clean slate, my man. It is a clean slate. But I'm not going to go hat in hand asking some girl out on a date 8 times and her say no and then be like, well, will you let me know when you're ready and we'll be here for you? No effing way. I take this canvas, this 4-hour canvas, the 20-hour canvas a week we have, I take it very seriously, probably too seriously. And at that yesterday, bro, I went ham in the chat. I mean, I went ham at Adam. I went ham at everyone. That's bad business.
I'm curious. We got to take a break. I'm curious. I know there are some San Diego State people out there, and you want to.
I tried
defend your school. Like you don't have a problem with that, or do you feel like, hey, I want the Aztecs to be part of the Ben and Woods universe?
Oh,
is that something you want to hear or not anymore?
What do I
in
see?
in San Diego?
See sailing off into the distance. Oh yeah, it's that ship. That ship's gone. That ship is sailed.
I mean,
it sailed yesterday.
You better speak up now because if you don't, we'll take that as your answer.
No, I don't need your. It's gone. It's out of. It pulled out of the harbor. It's gone.
For you,
he's on the way out. Catch some fish. Do whatever they're doing. No, it pissed me off. I'll be honest with you. It really did.
The fact that it was expected sucked, and it's still.
But the response was what sucked. Yeah. Again,
it's not. It wasn't. Hey, he slammed tomorrow.
We got you guys. Don't worry, we'll get him on.
Yeah.
That's how you do it, and that's bad business. Which, by the way, as of late, is to be expected. So, I'll call it like I see it. That sucks. It's garbage. No more oxygen.
Not the usual way we start the program, but we're off and running here on a Tuesday. We have more coverage from baseball's winter meetings coming up. Sam Levitt, of course, is our man on the scene. Going to be with us next hour at 7:35 with anything that does or doesn't happen. There was a lot of doesn't happening yesterday at the winter meetings. Also have A.J. Cassavell more on what is this Padres offseason plan that's going on. He had a piece, several steps of business that the Padres need to address as they get into this offseason. Will any of it happen this week? Are we waiting until January until some of these things happen? It certainly seems like it's moving very slowly. We'll get into all of that coming up. Regular features, starting with our Daily Ditty up next. The theme this week, songs with commonly mistaken lyrics. Misheard lyrics. Woodsy's going to make the choice on day 2 here, and then we are going on a Tuesday. Glad to have everybody with us. It's Ben, it's Woods, it's Paul going until 10 o'clock. Get our first check of traffic with Kelly here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Calling Jamaica. My whole life I thought it was. Now that I know what the answer is, call me when you try to wake her. But play it up again. It says, I swear, my whole life it was Calling Jamaica. Calling Jamaica. REM, Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight, the Daily Diddy selection. My whole life I'm in the car. Calling Jamaica. Calling Jamaica.
REM, that noted reggae band.
Well, I didn't. I thought it was. I had no
you
idea.
were the guy in that viral video.
Bomba class in the Konakini did. All night. Last night, by the way.
Misheard lyrics.
All night. Last night. Running around. Bomba class in the Konakini. Just all the whole time. My kids are doing it. My wife is like, I'm on the toilet last night and she hears from the bathroom. Bomba class in the Konakini. I have to like change the words because it's all dirty. Yes. But I can't stop singing it. But that song, he says, all right, talk about jamming a bunch of words. Call me when you try to wake up. Call me when you try to wake up. Right.
It's an extra few syllables
I would
stuffed
say
in there.
so. I always thought it was Calling Jamaica. And I did not know till this
I want to
morning.
get a couple phone calls in here before the bottom of the hour after what we talked about in our opening segment. 833-288-0973.
People are fired up.
Woodsy's fired up. We put in a request for the new Aztecs coach.
You're not
flatly
You're
turned
not
down.
as fired up as I feel like you should be. Protective over this thing here.
I guess my first thought was, you don't always get we don't get every guest we want with the Padres all the time.
How about 1 of 8?
But
how about 1?
How about 1 of 15?
Right.
But
no, we don't always get every guest we want with the Padres.
This felt like
it's obvious.
This felt like the right time to ask. Like as Paulie said, dust is settled. Let him get settled. I know he's got recruiting and they've got busy things to do, but hey, you pick up the phone while you're in the car on your way to the facility, or you're on the way to the airport to do some recruiting, and we'll work. We got 4 hours. We can work anytime
no doubt.
In that 4 hours into our schedule.
And I think there's a small part of me that was sad because I really want to talk to him because my first impression of him was really a good one. So
it was timely. Like the announcement last week,
it was perfect.
Don't come to us in April. We got baseball season.
We're late though.
Let's get a couple of these calls in. We got Derek wants to call in. Derek, good morning. Welcome to Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning, Derek. How you doing, buddy? Am I an idiot here? Am I way out of line? Because I don't know.
You know what? Absolutely not. Look, I'm an Aztec. I was there from 89 to 92, played baseball there. Back when at least the football team was entertaining, right? Marshall Falk, Dan McGuire, throw the football all over. We'd play BYU and lose games 51-50, but it was entertaining. It was fun.
Amazing, yeah.
Yes, they need this show. It's almost arrogant. You have a brand new stadium. Nobody goes. You lose football games 6-0 to Nevada. Yeah, the football program needs a little bit of help.
That's all I was saying, man. When we wanting to help them, getting shot down so many times over the years, at some point it does feel like it's a little bit personal. I know there's appearances on other shows on this station. That's fine. I mean, I've met J.D. Wicker enough to know that my evil J.D. voice doesn't offend him. He loved it. He laughed his ass off about it. And it was never making fun of him. It was making fun of Ben. So I don't think it's that. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's too many times to get shot down to not say, all right, fine, we're done asking. I'm not going to, so quit asking. You know, that's kind of how I feel at this point.
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
Yeah, Paulie, are you ever going to ask them for another interview again?
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
Now,
the crazy thing is, and we pointed it out, when we were a nothing like show first getting started, we had Dabo Sweeney, Ed Orgeron would come on, big-time college coaches would come on.
Within a month of winning the national title, it was easier for me to get the head coach of the national champion football team than the current local Mountain West school
weird, dude. Very,
head
very
coach.
weird.
Let's try Brenda quickly here. Brenda, welcome to Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. I love your show, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul. I was really angry, just like you, Woods, and sad and embarrassed. I'm an Aztec for life. I have my undergrad degree and my master's degree, MBA from San Diego State. I have season tickets for football. I have season tickets for basketball. And I don't understand why San Diego State would not want to increase their brand in the entire city of San Diego at every radio station.
No
I
question.
think there's no excuse for this. You guys do interview Teddy, you interview Fisher. Why can't you interview some of the other folks that are more closely related to the team?
It's a great call.
Don't
Thank you.
understand it.
I appreciate it. And you know, again, it's not a like, oh, this. We'd be petulant little babies if we got asked for one interview and it got shot down. And they go, I didn't get my way. If you go back through our text threads, there is a long history of years of me saying, okay, have we seen it? Is this enough disrespect? No. Okay, let's go back. How about now? Is this enough?
I mean, look, I'll give the guy that we read the email in our last segment, I'll give him credit for at least emailing me back.
The other
last
guy
he didn't even respond. Did not respond.
It's garbage.
And it got to the point where I said, I'm done.
Yes.
If Ben wants to have Dave Velasquez on the show, he's going to make the ask because I'm done.
Dude, it was years of our producer not even getting a text back.
And just to be transparent with Brenda, Steve Fisher comes on the show because he is a tier 1.
Yeah.
And we arranged that with him directly. San Diego State does not assist us with those interviews with Steve Fisher, and we appreciate Coach Fish, and he is always welcome on our show, of course, because we love him.
Love you so much.
So,
my favorite.
All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. If you've got more thoughts, you can jump in the chat or on our Twitter page at Ben and Woods. We also have news a little bit from the meetings yesterday, including a couple of tidbits from the Padres, like no signings or trades or anything, but there was some Manny Machado nuggets that came out yesterday that I thought were interesting. There was a note about Gary Sanchez and possibly bringing him back that I thought was interesting. We can get into all of that coming up next. Do not go anywhere. It's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Ben. Morning. Well, I told you not to try me, boy. Looks like your big mouth finally got you in trouble. You wanna do an interview with Sean Lewis? I don't think so. Sean Lewis, you'd love him. He's tall. He goes fast, Ben, fast. You'll never see it. You know what a mesa is, Ben? It's a table. Guess where you gonna be eating all the scraps from under the mesa? You've been iced out. So I'm gonna sit back, read my sports page, finish my biscuits and gravy, think about the new hot commodity that Aztec football is. You're done, Ben. You're done. I told you not to take the job with that boy. I told you. Boy. Here you are, 20 years of goodwill down the drain because of a few little jokes. Jokes are fun, Ben. Jokes are fun. But they don't get you fed, and they get you in trouble. Remember that lesson from your old pal, JD. All right? Hey, you have a great day. Love y'all. Bye. Wow, sounds officially over then, that relationship. 20 years of goodwill down the drain.
It's going to be very awkward at the next San Diego sports dinner that we're hosting, Woodsy. Very awkward.
Probably get iced out of that, too.
Well, if you weren't already, you might be after today.
All right, it's Ben and Woods.
Oh, man, that was vicious.
We are going to talk some baseball here. No actual news, just some more rumors involving your San Diego Padres and some timeline. We do have some sound from A.J. Preller as well. He talked to both Mad Dog, High Heat yesterday, and Sammy Levitt was in. I saw the video. I don't know if they were in AJ's hotel room or if the Padres just have like a suite there.
Probably a suite.
It looked like a very generic hotel room setting that Sammy was set up in when he was talking to AJ yesterday. But we're going to bring some of that to you right after quick check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Collision in the North County, southbound 15, past Camino del Norte. Looks like some debris in the roadway may have touched off this accident. It's over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So, a couple nuggets from yesterday. There was a rumor that, or a report that Shohei Ohtani talked with the Toronto Blue Jays at their facility in Florida.
So they're out.
I guess so. It got leaked. It involves the Padres, though, because the Blue Jays are one of the teams that we know have discussed Juan Soto with the Padres.
Yes.
And we also are fairly confident that they're not going to get both Ohtani and Soto. The Blue Jays are a one or another type of team. So if they did happen to sign Ohtani, that would be one less potential suitor for Juan Soto. Now, does that change the price at all? AJ was pretty firm yesterday. You know, he's getting what he's asking for, or he's not trading Juan Soto. He's just not. He'll have Juan Soto batting second in the lineup on opening day next year if the Yankees or another team doesn't meet his asking price. And we're finally seeing some of the national media acknowledge that fact. Ken Rosenthal wrote a piece yesterday under the headline, "Why the Yankees Padres both need a Juan Soto trade to happen." But he started out by, does anyone want to consider the Padres side of this? The national media, Woods, has taken the stance that the Padres are being unreasonable in what they're asking for with Juan Soto. Pretty much what the Yankees want them to say.
Correct.
They're trying to drive down the price as much as possible.
They got those water pails, man, and they are carrying those water pails through the winter meetings.
They don't realize that they're dealing with A.J. Preller, who is probably less affected by what national or local media says than maybe any other executive I've ever seen in sports. They all say they're not, but at some point in New York, in Los Angeles, in really any media market, you're going to start feeling the pressure and the heat from fans, from media, which is the media is just basically channeling the voice of the fans because they hear it. Fans who are upset. The Yankees need to add a star. They're starting to hear more of that on a daily basis in New York. The pressure is ratcheting up on the Yankees, not on the Padres. To me, I don't feel like there's a lot of pressure on A.J. Preller right now.
I don't feel that either. I don't. And maybe that's misguided. Maybe that's naive. Ben. But said it yesterday. Will stand on it, until something happens. I feel that AJ Preller and the San Diego Padres do have the leverage in this. And you talked about the media. Cashman is under pressure from Yankees media and Yankee fans because, look, if this deal if that really was what was asked, and let's say Juan Soto gets flipped to another team, random team, surprise team, and you're Brian Cashman, you got to show up to work knowing I could have had Juan Soto, and all it would have cost me was Clark Schmidt, Michael King, Johnny Brito, and Sanchez or whoever. Bro, you're dead. You're dead. That's a bad look. Very few Yankee fans are going to go, man, I'm sure glad we kept Clark Schmidt. I looked at his projections for 24. You know what they are? 8-8 record with a 4.65 ERA. Give me an effing break. Of course you want to center a trade around him. Of course you do. Why wouldn't you?
He's a dead flat average pitcher.
He's a league average guy.
And you want to give him up for one of the best players in baseball.
Of course, that's who you want to headline the deal.
So the one pressure point that they're at least trying to put on the San Diego Padres is financial. Well, you got to trade Juan Soto because you're in financial straits. You need to cut payroll, so you have to do it. So the pressure is on the Padres. We haven't really been able to get anything out of AJ Preller when it comes to a payroll number or what kind of financial, numbers the Padres are working with. And you said something brilliant this morning before the show. You said, well, maybe we'd get answers from AJ Preller if you were tougher, like, the New York, the national media is.
Got to press them. That's what I hear all the time.
Right.
Got to press them.
If you're curious what that's like, no one is more New York or loud or better known in baseball media than one Mad Dog Russo, who had AJ Preller on yesterday on High Heat on MLB Network.
I feel a little vindicated.
And he gave him the full, you'll hear the question as well as the answer. The full New York treatment on the $50 million loan, the financial pressures, the payroll. You got to trade Soto, right? And then listen to AJ Preller's answer or non-answer. He treats Mad Dog just like everybody else.
Yep.
Is the passing of Mr. Sider have something to do with the $50 million? It sounds like you might have to cut from the payroll. Is there a connection here I need to know about, AJ, or it's independent? Let me hear.
No, I think for Peter, he viewed the Padres as something that was for his family. That's going to be part of generational ownership and everything that we've tried to do from the last few years in terms of building excitement, the fan base, our team, our payroll. I think everybody's on board in San Diego. It's understanding this is something that year after year we're going to have a very competitive team, talented roster, and payroll that's going to support that. And I think from that standpoint, moving forward, we're in the same place that we've been here for over the last 5 years.
Not one word about anything there. Even though, and by the way, being New York and hard, I think just means you tell me at the end.
Yeah.
Maybe if we asked every question and just said a thing, yeah, you tell, Ben and Woods.
Yeah, anything we need to know.
What do we need to know here, AJ?
Bro,
does that make an interview tougher if you're New York media by just saying, yelling at them at the end of the question?
And I promise you guys, man, even if you said you didn't answer the question, if you said that to him, you didn't answer the question. Of course. Look, we're going to be competitive, and we're going to have this payroll, and we're always looking for better, and we're listening on guys, and we're not listening on guys. And we're always going to try. He is truly the artful dodger. That dude can dodge.
Is that Dodger loving?
No, okay. He can truly dodge anything you throw at him. And I think there's good things to that. There are good aspects of that. In our position, there's bad things too. You want to have a conversation with a guy, and AJ's not off the air. Fine, conversationalist, absolutely fine. On the air, he's a GM and speaks in circles. And
but you pointed out the other GMs went on yesterday, and they sound more like
us.
Your neighbor talking baseball when they go on, and AJ does not. And maybe that's to his credit. It's certainly to our detriment sometimes when we try to talk to AJ and get stuff out of him, but
you're also
perhaps it's a sign that he's doing his job better than some of the other guys are doing their job.
Well, and you're also not going to get a whole lot at this point, it's got to be kind of fluff, right? because you're just not going to come out and say we're looking to move Juan Soto, because then guess what? The asking price just tanks. So that would be a dumb thing to say if you're AJ Preller. But yeah, I mean, I saw this going, making the rounds yesterday. I go, I don't need to click it. Paulie's going to play it. I know exactly what it says. I've read this book before. I know exactly how this story ends without reading the last page at all. And that's fine, man. That's not an attack on AJ Preller by any stretch of the imagination. That's just who he is. That's what we've got here. And I think that serves him well in negotiations. I really do. I think that kind of attitude could potentially serve him well. I will say, and I tweeted it last night, if there's a package for Juan Soto and it's headlined by Clark Schmidt, I will eat my own hair. That can't happen. I had somebody respond, well, who else is available out there? And I said, there's names. There's teams that we haven't thought of. There's teams that are lurking in the weeds right now that would love nothing more. Because now what they have is they have the benefit of seeing what the Yankees offered or what AJ asked for. And you look at that and you go, well, we can do better. If we're in salary negotiations and somebody wants to hire us, Ben, probably not SDSU, but another entity wants to hire us, if Adam gets what they're offering us, he can then make his offer better. It's information.
Ultimately, any deal will come down to a moment with two GMs and what they can stomach in the end. And can they talk themselves into it? And I do think that if you're an opposing GM and the prize is Juan Soto, even just one season of Juan Soto, it's a lot easier to talk yourself into that on that last decision. I don't want to part with this guy, but here's what we get. And I feel very good that Juan Soto's going to be outstanding for us next season in a contract drive year, and championships live forever, and he's going to give our team a better chance to win one this year, and we'll figure it out after 2024. Maybe we'll sign him. Maybe we'll have to rebuild our farm system. But I feel like there's going to be a GM that's willing to meet AJ's price, because that promise of that 1 year is just too much to pass up.
Yeah.
With Juan Soto.
Well, and they, you said earlier somebody can't get both. They can get Ohtani and they can get Soto, knowing, hey, we're making a run. It's $30 million for Juan Soto. He's probably going to go elsewhere, but we're going to make a run this year. And we're going to give up some pitching prospects that we're not going to be able to afford to pay years down the road anyway. Logan Gilbert, guys like that have been mentioned by the Mariners. I don't know what their plan is.
Yeah, no, I mean, there are teams that could do both.
There are teams that could do both.
Absolutely sign Ohtani to the mega contract and then acquire Juan Soto
and
with
go
the extra $30 million and then trade some prospects.
Then you have you've got your 3 and 4
and
hitter.
Then you probably have Ohtani for your rotation in 2025, hopefully, and beyond, going, well, we won't need those prospects as much because we got a solid member of a rotation going forward.
So I know AJ Cassavell, and we're going to be talking to him later in the show at 8:35. I mean, he's kind of leaning on the fact that this is probably going to drag out if you're Juan Soto.
I saw that. Now, you're not going to get any news out of AJ, so you got to look elsewhere. And I will say, Kevin Acee had a couple of nuggets in the UT yesterday. One about Gary Sanchez, and that the Padres are in discussion with Gary Sanchez about like a 1-year deal to bring him back, $6 to $8 million. Sounds pretty reasonable.
I think so, yeah.
He says Luis Campusano will be the starter. That's the plan in 2024. But they need a backup. And if Gary Sanchez is willing to be that backup, you're probably not going to do better than Gary Sanchez as a backup. Now, that's devoting some resources toward an area that's not pitching, which is something that I wonder how much the Padres can afford to do at this moment, because they need to devote, I would say, the lion's share of their resources right now, obviously, towards starting pitching and bullpen. But you can't go into a season with just one catcher, major league catcher on your roster. So you have to address that.
You can't. And I went back and forth. Is $6 to $8 million too much? What are we talking? We're talking a 1-year deal?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I thought Gary might be pushing for like 10.
Yeah,
especially as thin as the position player market really is. Everyone wants pitching, so the pitching price is going up. But the teams that want position players, there's not a lot out there beyond a couple of stars. So.
And what we said last year, one of the knocks against Bob, and I don't know if it was a Bob thing, an AJ thing, whatever, but they were resting. One would start, one would sit. The nights when one would DH and one would catch,
worked
much better offense, I think.
It was just tough. It was risky.
It was risky because Brett Sullivan
one
was your
of them
backup.
gets hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
And then some Manny Machado news. Apparently his recovery is going well. after his surgery. He's already pushing for baseball activities, and the trainers say he's moving along fast, and we're still in December. So that's some good news. We'll follow up on that. Get to some Take on Woods coming up. Hour number 2 of Ben and Woods and Evil JD next on 97.3 The Fan. You a big Lopes fan then tonight, Woodsy? You gone full heel turn on San Diego State, even the basketball program? Even the pleasant Brian Dutcher?
Love Dutch. How can you not?
How can you not love Dutch?
I can never, because of Coach Fisher and Coach Dutch.
I am extremely worried about the game tonight, though. Aztecs back in the top 25 yesterday, but this is a game they should not be playing. They shouldn't have played the one on Friday at UCSD. They should not play tonight at Grand Canyon. They are 2.5-point favorites.
This just
have been
feels a little fresh for
camping
me to talk
out
about
at
right now.
since
Just
Saturday.
A little raw. It's just a little bit raw from the first hour of the program.
I can understand that.
You know?
I think the basketball, that's a totally different thing, though, for me.
Is it? Cool. Let's get Dutch on to talk about it.
They don't have to put them on because they went to the Final Four. There's a difference.
Interesting.
There's a difference when your football team goes 4-8 and the stands are empty, and when your basketball team goes to the Final Four and the national championship game, and you sell out Viejas Arena every game.
That's how it works.
Yes, you get to call your shots when you're on top of the world.
Weird, because we are on top of the world, and we're not calling our shots. So it's very, very
We just
odd.
did this morning.
Very odd.
We did.
Yeah. Michael says, talking Aztecs after what just happened feels a little cuckish. Indeed. It absolutely does. Enjoy your cigarette there in the corner with your black socks pulled up to your knees, nude.
Oh, you don't have to talk about them.
Watching. Well, then I
fine.
just got to sit here.
Yeah, I guess
bored.
so. I've been to Grand Canyon before, a game there, and it is
He's just Mike Allstott is in the house.
it's one of the toughest road environments you will ever see. It was nuts in that place. The
free pizzas
the
everywhere.
One game. Well,
for all
no,
the
I don't know.
kids.
I didn't see the pizzas, but apparently they pay them, they feed them, they make sure that place is loud. They play like club music during the games. So it is very hard to play there, and they are in for a tough night, would be my guess.
Okay.
At Grand Canyon tonight.
Look forward to that, Greg.
I need a contestant for Take on Woods coming up here.
This is weird.
Chance
It's going to get weird now.
Well, that's why you wanted to take it in that direction.
Yeah, I did. It was my choice.
San Diego State basketball, I've said, is my favorite non-Padres team I have.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching the games. I love cheering for them. It's the only games that I feel like the tension of watching. I mean, I'm not going to stop being a San Diego State basketball fan.
And they love that about you.
I enjoy that. I think you had fun last year,
I had a
too. You
blast.
enjoyed the run to the Final Four.
I had a blast.
You really did enjoy it.
I did. I really did. Hence, what makes
right
it
now
worse.
you're just mad about really one person's decision, though. Not
eight different times.
I mean,
yes.
we've got tons
eight
of
different times.
We got tons of San Diego State people, tier ones, who are on your side, who love the show, but also are Aztec supporters out there.
It's more than 8. I mean, this has been going on.
been going on for a
literally for years. And certainly since we came over to 97.3, but even when we were at the old station.
Yeah.
We were having beat writers and head coaches from the opposing schools because we couldn't get somebody from the local school.
Yeah. Sorry. I value this product greatly. This canvas on which we paint. So that's how I feel.
I do as well.
I know. What do you value more?
Both. I value both. See now. I feel like now you're making it awkward.
Mm-mm. Who do you think values you more? It's a pretty easy question.
Who are the options here?
Me and them.
You, definitely.
Right. Okay.
Yes. I didn't know what the question was there.
In life,
It's a good energy right now.
It is.
I like this.
In life, you learn when you make your bed, you got to lie in it. Accountability, all that. It's tough. Learning it myself, trying it every day, trying to be better every day. So sometimes in life, you got to make your bed. We've done a lot. We did.
Well, why do I have to be punished?
I'm not punishing you.
But I feel like I'm getting punished. I like watching San Diego State basketball and talking about San Diego State basketball. So to like all of a sudden not be able to talk about them because you're mad at the football, office.
You absolutely can.
That feels like I'm getting punished, and I'm the last person who deserves to be punished in this situation.
So am I.
Right.
So am I. But alas, here we are. Oh, boy.
Not going to make me uncomfortable.
Me neither, really. I'm standing on my principles here. Did you have more on it, or was that?
I mean, I could.
Okay.
But I feel like I'm going to be met with resistance.
No. I
don't think you'll be met with anything.
I'll listen. Price, it's a huge game. Stop being so weird, Woods. Listen. It is. It's just like I said. It's a little bit fresh. But go ahead.
It's in my rundown right here. It's 7:00. It says San Diego State Aztecs jump back into the top 25.
Big
Look
day
ahead
for
to
you
tonight's
yesterday.
game at Grand Canyon University.
Yeah.
You know me. I like to just follow the program.
I get it.
Oh, now we like to follow.
Yeah. Now he wants to stick to it. No, I will probably watch that game tonight because I'm a big Reese. What's his name? Reese Waters fan.
Yeah.
I love Reese Waters. Need a big.
You
game.
like anyone who's turned down the Trojans for somewhere else
to come to the Aztecs? Exactly. What time is the game?
I think it's is it a 6:00 tonight or 7:00?
And where is
tonight?
Grand Canyon?
Grand
University?
Canyon's
Is it
in like
Arizona?
northern Phoenix. It's actually
6:00 on ESPN.
probably about 10 minutes from the Airbnb we stayed. Or you know where it's right by that. It's right by
I've seen it.
It's right by Doo-Doo Motel.
It's
Probably
by
within
Doo-Doo
5
Motel.
minutes of
I've seen
Doo-Doo
it.
Motel.
Yeah, I've seen it.
right
up
next to
there.
the freeway.
I've seen it. I've
Next to the
absolutely
freeway
seen it.
there in upper central Phoenix is where Grand Canyon University is located.
And they're Aztecs favored by what? 2?
2.5 is what I saw in this game. And that'll be a challenge.
And what's
that will be a challenge.
What's GCU sitting at right now?
They are set 6-1 or 7-1. They are ranked Ken Palm, top 75 net ranking, top 75. So they're a solid team. And the Aztecs, I think, are 24 in Ken Palm and 24 in the net rankings and 26 in Ken Palm. So back in the top 25. It's a game that they could easily lose tonight. Especially if they're not healthy. They haven't been 100% in their last couple of games. Had a bunch of guys who were sick on Friday. I know. Are they going to be back? I know Waters was playing definitely not at full strength against UCSD. Is that something that's going around the team right now? That could be an issue as well. I would stay away from betting on San Diego State tonight.
Really?
And just get your fingers crossed that they can somehow pull out a win. Because it's not going to be an easy one.
Is it the last? Is the UCSD game what's sticking in your craw because that was so close?
Well, I mean that's part of it. They didn't play very well because they weren't at full strength, and it was a similar environment. Smaller arena, loud fans. This is going to be like UCSD, ratcheted up a couple of degrees. So. This is a tough one for San Diego State tonight, and a danger one. Wouldn't be nearly as bad of a loss because GCU's rankings are better and it's a road game. Wouldn't be like, oh, you can't go to the NCAA tournament if you lose this game. UCSD might have been. That was very troublesome. That was a crusher. But this one is just a trap, dangerous game for the Aztecs tonight.
All right. Well, we will definitely be tuning in and report back tomorrow.
All right. Let's play some Take on Woods. Oh, we got a cavalcade of stars to start the month. Today it is Roger's turn. Hello, Roger. It's been a while.
Good morning, fellas. How you doing?
Good morning.
Hey, Raj.
So you want to play Woods straight up, or do you want to keep the advantage today?
No, I figure he's rattled, so let's go ahead and give him the category too,
All right.
and we'll just play it straight
Roger
up.
loves to play heads up against Woods. If he beats or ties Woods, of course, we put him into the new grand prize drawing this month. It's a 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas, dinner at Edge Steakhouse, and 2 tickets to Barry Manilow at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino International Theater. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Here are the category choices, Roger. Opposites attract. 5 songs with a pair of opposites in the title. Say anything. That's the word say is the key there. And our new category is the 1980s. Those are 5 bands from the 80s that begin with the letter T. So opposites attract, say anything, or the 1980s. Roger, what's it going to be?
That's a good one. 1980s. I
The
like that.
1980s. I think we did yesterday. I'm on a letter kick right now, apparently. Today we got 5 bands prominent in the 80s that all begin with the letter T. Get 60 seconds. Try to answer as many as you can. You know how it works, Roger. Pass if you don't know one. Come back to it. First question's the 2-second song. Give me the title and the artist that starts with T to score that point. You ready to play?
Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right, Roger. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. The category, the 1980s. Good luck, Roger. Let's take on Woods.
Africa by Toto.
Correct. Which English duo hit the big time with the release of their 1985 album, Songs from the Big Chair?
Tears for Fears.
Correct. Which musical supergroup first came together in 1988 to record what was then going to be a single for George Harrison's album?
Traveling Wilburys.
Correct. Which American new wave band is most well known for their 1985 hit Voices Carry?
Till Tuesday.
Matt Johnson was the driving force behind which oddly named English post-punk band with alt songs including The Beaten Generation and Gravitate to Me?
Whoa. What? Say it again, please.
Matt Johnson was the driving force behind which oddly named English post-punk band with alt songs including The Beaten Generation and Gravitate to Me.
Post-punk band. Wow. Yeah.
Got to make the last one tough. You got the first 4. Yeah. That is is the alt band English post-punk. I'll see if Woodsy knows that. I'll be impressed. I think he'll get at least the 4. Hang on the line, Roger. Got the first 4 all right. He is getting the category. I wonder if that's going to help him. I think he'll run through. We'll see. All right, so it's Roger. So he likes to go heads up against you. So the category,
love that about Roger.
The category today is the 1980s.
80s.
5 bands from the 80s that start with the letter T.
Okay.
60 seconds on the clock. Time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Roger.
That is Africa by Toto.
Correct. Which English duo hit the big time with the release of their 1985 album, Songs from the Big Chair?
Tears for Fears.
Correct. Which musical supergroup first came together in 1988 to record what was then going to be a single for George Harrison's album?
Traveling Wilburys.
Correct. Which American new wave band is most well known for their 1985 hit Voices Carry?
Till Tuesday.
Correct. Matt Johnson was the driving force behind which oddly named English post-punk band with songs including The Beaten Generation and Gravitate to Me?
One more time.
Matt Johnson was the driving force behind which oddly named English post-punk band with alt songs including The Beaten Generation and Gravitate to Me.
Seconds.
Taints Alive.
I may have stumped both of you on that one. You both got the first 4. Not too much trouble there. That's the.
Oh, the.
The.
One of those bands like people would listen to. I never.
I had to make one of them
Never
tough. I
did
knew
it.
that category would be fairly easy for you, so I made a really tough last question. But guess what? We have our second straight tie, which goes to the contestant, which means, Roger, you are in. Hang on the line. We have 2 days, 2 contestants in for our drawing for Las Vegas in the month of December, but no losses for Woods, so you don't have to feel bad
true.
about that.
That's true.
That was a very tough last question. First 4, you had to think for a second about Tears for Fears, since I just gave you the album. Album names are always tough for me. I can never remember album names, but you got that one. Roger got that one okay. And then the other 3 you nailed pretty quickly.
Yeah, pretty easy.
All right, let's take a time out. We'll come back with Don't Do This. I have a stalker story.
These are
that
not fun.
Is pretty crazy, but this time it's kind of twisted around. It's not a male stalking a female. It's the other way around, involving an former NFL player. Get to that story and more coming up next with Ben and Woods, right back after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. All right, apparently I've got both the don't do this is today. Maybe Woods is still on silent protest.
No, I'm
over there.
ready. I'm here.
Just
I'm
didn't have a
ready.
great story. I'll start before I get to the stalker story. Start in the NFL with some weird reports out of the Jets yesterday. You get a lot of weird news out of the Jets.
This now. Do we know that this is really
No,
the
I mean,
case? Because I feel this.
It was certainly the Athletic reported.
Okay.
And it's the Athletic. It's not like some blogger somewhere. It's the Athletic.
Nothing wrong with bloggers, by the
But
way.
the
out
Athletic
there.
is fairly credible when it comes to their reporting skills. That the Jets are leaning toward putting Zach Wilson back at starting quarterback. But, and there is a big but here, Wilson is kind of reluctant to now play because, well, he doesn't want to get hurt again because they have no offensive line. He's tired of getting back there and just getting smoked over and over again. And he's like, I don't want to start for you guys right now.
But I feel like I feel like you just put words in his mouth that he has not.
They reported that it's because of the perceived injury risk that Zach Wilson is reluctant to return to the starter's role as quarterback for the Jets.
He's been mauled this year.
Of course he has.
But he is.
But it's also part of the job. If you want to be a starting quarterback, there's some risk in the game.
You know, you say it's part of the job. Playing is actually the job, and it's the good, bad, ugly, whatever. That is the job.
Now, the coach of the Jets, Robert Saleh, pushed back on that report later, saying, "Well, we haven't made a decision, but hey, guys, if he was reluctant to play, he wouldn't be here." So he kind of dismissed that report that Zach Wilson is not wanting to start. Maybe this is maybe it's one of those situations where, of course, he's got some trepidations about what's gone on, but you can't be a quarterback in the NFL and just not want to play. I get backup quarterback looks like a glorious job. Get paid, maybe sometimes a couple of $1 million to stand there with a clipboard and watch a guy, if he's good, play all 17 games every snap of the season, and you have to do nothing.
Yeah.
Even in practice, you rarely even get in there. Wear a red jersey, don't get touched, spend all season, collect big paychecks, and
get your 4 reps of practice and call it a day.
And really never have to do anything at all. And perhaps Zach Wilson was enjoying that for a time being, but you got to be ready to go in if you're a quarterback on an NFL team.
It's tough because imagine being juggled like they've been juggled, all of the quarterbacks on that team, and it's a really good indicator of how that team is run, man, and there's no answers. Every answer they put in is the wrong answer.
It feels like there are no good backup quarterbacks anymore in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, last night, boy, we saw a really
Jake
good
Browning comes in, and not only, I mean, you're just hoping for a serviceable job.
Hand it off, don't fumble it.
32 for 37 for the Bengals, 354 yards in his second career start from an undrafted quarterback.
Joe Burrow sweating. No, he's not sweating at all, not in the slightest.
I sat down in like the second quarter and started watching that game, and I was riveted, rooting for Jake Browning. They said he was, at the time, he was like 14 for 15, pushing the chains, getting first downs. Like, he was looking pretty good. And then they said he was involved in like, I think it was 23 transactions since 2019.
Is that right?
I can't think of his name now. Who was the Packers quarterback who played the last game of the season so well? Played it into a free agent contract with the Seahawks, but then they drafted Russell Wilson and made him Matt Flynn.
Matt Flynn.
Yeah. Like, got paid.
Maybe, when Joe Burrow comes back, Jake Browning plays this into a Matt Flynn situation.
It was like week 16. They had the number 1 seed locked up, so they sat Rodgers. He came in and threw like 6 touchdowns in one game. And parlayed it into a huge payday, and then they drafted Russell Wilson, who shined.
Realized he was
mad. I feel like this.
Wow, we have the most expensive backup quarterback in the history of sports.
I feel like this Zach Wilson story is a New York media.
Yeah,
I really do.
You're not wrong.
I feel like it is, and some guy, I can't remember his name. He was on WFAN, and he went on one of the shows, or he has his own show, one of the two, and he's like, I was texting with Coach, and I told him he needed to bring Wilson back, and even the coach said, "Are you kidding me?" Like, so I don't know how much credibility there lends to that, but when they see a little bit of blood in the water there, they're going to attack. And if that remains the case, though, that he literally said, "I don't want to play," Like, okay,
Yeah, I would
probably
I would
time
be
to cut
very
bait.
shocked if
I
it
would
was
be
that blatantly
shocked.
clear. Like, no, coach, I'm not going in. That's just basic. Well, then we're cutting you.
Mr.
Like,
Sunshine says he could try a safer job, like lion tamer or bullfighter. Your odds may be better. Your odds literally may be better at bullfighting than playing behind that
Jets
line.
quarterback.
All right, and you had one more, Ben?
I did. This is actually involving a former Bengals wide receiver. Remember, T.J. Hushmanzada.
Yes, very well.
He says that a woman has become so obsessed with him, a stalker. She actually changed her last name to Hushmanzada in order to get closer to him. Annette Selkirk, 53-year-old, is now Annette Marie Hushmanzada, and TJ, in a lawsuit, claims she has been making his life miserable for him and his family since at least 2015. In addition to changing her name to Hushmanzada, she says the woman has been posing as the mother of his kids online, making contact with his wife, as well as sending harassing emails and personal items to his home. TJ also says that he once received a letter from Annette in which she stated she had several bullets inscribed with the names of each member of the Hushmanzada family.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, wow.
The 46-year-old asking a judge to order the woman to stay at least 500 yards away from him
How about
and his
500
family,
miles?
as well as stop using his last name to try to gain access to his personal
That's scary,
affairs.
dude. That is absolutely terrifying. You ever have a stalker?
No,
As far as you know?
as far as I know. Hey, if they are out there, they're polite and keep their distance.
Yeah.
Just how any stalker should stalk.
Yeah.
This woman
it
is
does it is
nuts.
it's creepy. Online stuff is creepy, but that goes to the next level. The bullet, man. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
If I'm going to change my last name, I do not want to have to learn how to spell Hushmanzada or sign that thing on legal documents. You know, I'm going with something short and easy to remember and spell.
Little bit. It's a little bit reminiscent of all of the stories that you've. I mean, think about all the famous people like John Lennon. Think about John Lennon, dude. You got to get security amped up. You're looking over your shoulder all the time. It's a weird scene. I got to do this for you that you'll like, Benny.
DD mega doo-doo.
So yesterday, my 5-year-old son comes home from school, and he got to go to the book fair, and he had like $10 to spend.
Love the book fair.
Oh, dude.
Love the book fair.
Field day and book fair are the two fondest memories I have of being a kid. Like that and like playing with your friends all summer riding bikes, but in school, field day and book fair day, elite. It just doesn't get any better.
Got that little magazine ahead of time that you got to circle.
yes.
You were going to hope
I
to
don't
get.
think they do it that way anymore. I didn't see it, but we didn't get a magazine. I think you like walk in and it's set up and you get to peruse around like a farmer's market.
No. Shelley put on our book fairs at elementary school, and there was all the books, and they'd come in each as a class and get to peruse around. But what they really liked, there were like trinkets and little things you could buy at the end that were not books, and the kids loved the tchotchkes.
The tchotchkes, they do. Bo came home yesterday. He was very excited to tell me about all the books that he got. And I looked at the books and I went, I'm raising little Ben Higgins here. Listen to what this little SOB gets. The goats of basketball, the goats of football, the goats of baseball, the greatest players of all time, NFL. It's thick. We get
reference material.
Nice. He is all about it. So we get in bed last night and I flip. He goes, I go, which one do you want to do first? He goes, baseball. So we lay in. It's these pretty sizable books, a lot of words. I'm like, all right, we'll read like 5 pages, bro.
Chapter 1. Mel Ott.
It was like. It was Cy Young and it was Clayton Kershaw. I had to read him the story of Clayton Kershaw.
No. You didn't just skip over that chapter?
Bo goes, ew, and I go, I know. Let's just plow through it. So
Ben, you do a great job.
Yeah. I'm lying in bed.
You're
last night,
reading your son
teaching my son
Clayton
the
Kershaw
bedtime stories. What a nightmare.
I think this is a don't do this.
Yeah, exactly right.
Don't do this.
But I knew you'd be.
I'm proud of him, though. Yeah.
Yeah. So, here in a couple weeks when we get to the basketball, this is James Naismith. He took this peach basket and attached it to a pole, and thus basketball was born, right? And let me tell you about Bob Cousy. Here's Jerry West. Like, it's so good. You know, the first page I opened the basketball is going to be a picture of Magic Johnson or something. So yeah, I had to.
I just like that you're going to be learning about some of these people
it's
too.
True. It's true. It's true.
Red Grange.
This little dude, his little face was beaming. He was so happy, and I'm sitting here going, no music books or anything in there.
We probably could all learn about the goats of hockey. Did he get that one?
No, he did not
okay.
get that one. I don't even know if it was available. But
I don't know.
This is Maurice Richards.
Don't and do this for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Sammy Levitt is going to check in from Nashville. Quiet first day of the winter meetings, but I got some questions from Sammy's session with A.J. Preller yesterday. We will get to that coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Sammy Levitt is such a great 97.3 The Fan staffer. He probably never misses Kickoff with Boomer and Valenti every Friday at 6 p.m. right here on The Fan and on the free Odyssey app, presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos brought to you by those who drink it and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. Maybe you can listen on the flight home from Nashville next week. But he is currently at baseball's winter meetings. He will join us live after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Double trouble on northbound 5 out of the South Bay this morning, guys. Got a crash involving a car and a motorcycle right past East Street. Those vehicles are over to the right shoulder. Then, just up ahead before Mile of Cars Way, two-car collision over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I got to say, Sammy absolutely killed it on the first day, starting with his appearance on our show.
That's what he does.
Was all over The Fan all day long. He was getting A.J. Preller sound. He was interviewing Tom Verducci, A.J. Cassavell he was talking to, videos all over the place, sound, and he joins us right now from the Opryland Hotel in Nashville. Sammy, good morning.
Good morning, guys, and I even found a way to make it to downtown Nashville last night. Checked out Broadway, went to a few honky tonks.
Whoa!
Heard a couple of renditions of "Pour Some Sugar on Me." I was singing along, having a great time. So I am getting the full Nashville, Tennessee experience.
Where do we go? Tootsie's, the stage.
That's amazing.
Where did we go? We went to Kid Rock's place.
And by we, I assume you mean you and A.J. Preller were there.
Preller, Tom Verducci. Who else?
That would be a scene. But we went. Yeah, we went there. We got some pizza because I was starving. I was starving. I needed some dinner, so we got some pizza. And the really cool thing about Broadway, and I would assume a lot of those places, I've not been to all of them, is even the pizza place had a live band. So it's really the theme of the whole area down there. But it was fun, and I've been down to Broadway before, but it is worth going to at least once because it really is unlike anything else I've ever seen. So I had a nice time, and now all ready to go on this Tuesday morning. And my goodness, I would hope there's more activity here today than what we had
I will.
yesterday.
Before we get to that, though, I do have a question, and maybe you can now
Yes.
answer it, Sam, or maybe Woods, with his musical knowledge, can answer it. What is Opry? I guess I always thought it was like the opera, but for country
I
music.
think that's what it means. Like,
But do they sing like opera songs, or why do they
No.
call it the Opry?
like an opera house is
Right.
a thing.
Yeah.
This is not opera.
Like a stage, like a certain
Merriam-Webster
kind of stage.
says the meaning of Opry is a dialectal variant of opera.
So it's like Foster saying opera. Opry.
But they don't sing opera music. They sing
No.
country music in
y'all
Nashville.
want to go to the Opry?
Y'all want to go to the Opry? Right.
But they're not going to the Opry or the opera. They're going to like someone playing a honky-tonk
No,
music
it's
like
just-
Sam was doing.
You've heard of the term opera house.
Right.
That's where you go to sing opera.
Right.
This is the Opry house. This is where we go to play music, but we're not singing opera.
So it's
or
just a
opera.
total colloquial expression.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. It's not a style of music all of its
No,
own.
I don't play Opry music, but I can. My band can play at the Opry. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not doing the whole but country or anything like that.
How would that even sound?
I have no idea. That's
I'd
I
like
was
to hear you
curious.
try,
I
actually,
know.
at
We
some
can invent
point.
a whole new style of music. All right, what's on the agenda today, Sam?
Mike Schilt talks, I think, a little bit before noon here. Hopefully we'll have a chance today to do a one-on-one with Mike as well. But that'll be great to hear from Mike Schilt. Obviously the first time we've heard from him since the press conference and since he was on your show the day after. And I'm really interested to hear what he has to say and his thoughts on potential moves and all of it, right, as he puts together a staff as well. I'm looking forward to seeing if we get any information from Mike Schilt today on what that staff might look like, because we haven't had a whole lot of info on that. A.J. Preller will also talk more generally with the media today. I say more generally. I think it's going to be a bigger scrum. Each GM talks in a press conference room at one point during the winter meeting. So I believe that's today for A.J. Preller. It's the same for Mike Schilt. So we'll have very formal media availabilities for both Schilt and Preller. And obviously, other than that, just continuing to gather what I can here and talk to different people. I don't know that we learned a ton yesterday, or there was a ton that came out. I mean, it was everybody was remarking here about how quiet it was day one of the winter meetings, and I think the sense continues to be when you talk to people that there may not be a whole lot until the Shohei Ohtani situation is decided, and you understand it because he basically controls the market and could have an impact even on the Juan Soto situation. I will say this from yesterday. I thought actually, A.J. Preller said some interesting things, when we had the chance to talk to him yesterday, whether it was about the Soto situation, whether it was about the catching situation and beyond. So, and I think you guys may have played some of that audio already. If you haven't, maybe a little bit later, but not a ton of concrete information, but, speculation obviously still swirling.
Yeah, we're talking to Sammy Levitt here on Ben and Woods this morning, and I think you kind of touched on it. Our greatest fears are being realized. It's like the exact thing we didn't want to happen at the winter meetings is waiting for one domino to fall. And they talked a lot. I had MLB Network on most of the day yesterday. Fascinated by the manager interviews. I thought they were all really, really good. The GM interviews leave a little something to be desired because they're not going to tip their hands. But honestly, that's kind of what everybody is saying. I know AJ Caswell, our next guest at 8:35, he's been saying the same thing. We're all just kind of in limbo mode waiting for Shohei to sign. So what are the teams that are still in the mix for him? Obviously, the Dodgers are hearing the Blue Jays. Any surprise teams that that you're hearing rumors about?
Well, obviously, last night it was Ken Rosenthal who reported that Ohtani met with the Blue Jays at their spring training facility yesterday, which would indicate that they're major players for him, right? I mean, if he's going to their facility and checking it out, I would imagine those are very legitimate conversations. And obviously the other teams that have been involved, the Dodgers and the Angels. I mean, that's been reported on. I think in relation to the Padres, I think it continues to be a question of how much his situation will impact Soto, and I think more specifically Toronto, right? I mean, look, I spoke with Tom Verducci yesterday about the Yankee situation, and he was very clear that if the Padres get the names they want from the Yankees, that's a deal that could be made this week. But I think the question continues to be, what will the Padres, if the Padres are going to trade Juan Soto, what is their level of patience? And I will say, from A.J. Preller yesterday, the sense I got from what he said is that they are going to be patient. And I also did not get the sense that it is an absolute that Juan Soto is going to be traded. Now, will he get traded? Very well could be the case, right? I think we all understand that based on the math, the payroll, all of it. But, AJ was asked, even with all the rumors going around, if there's a path to Juan Soto being on the opening day roster. And he said, yeah, 100%. He said, that's a very attractive option.
Yeah.
And I thought he indicated that maybe there are some other possibilities on the table. And, I thought it was interesting yesterday. He acknowledged that they're getting calls, and he acknowledged that they're getting calls on other players and talked about the value proposition of value now versus future value as far as the package back. So I thought he was, for AJ, gave you about as much info as you could have expected yesterday. And I just came away from that and everything that's transpiring here, still not 100% sold that there is not another way to do this, beyond trading Juan Soto. I think I kind of talked in a circle there, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that there is still a possibility that Juan Soto could still be a Padre when all this is said and done. Is that unlikely? Probably, but I still come away with that, at least here on Tuesday morning, that there are a lot of things going on that might come to fruition.
Talking to Sam Levitt, Padres pre- and post-game show host, live from the MLB winter meetings in Nashville. And Juan Soto isn't the only Padre who could possibly be on the move. I mean, it's AJ. Any Padre really could be on the move. But
fair.
Trent Grisham's name has come up a lot lately. And, Sammy, did you sense, as I did, a bit of a shift in AJ's discussion about Trent Grisham yesterday?
Yeah, I did. again, when we talk about the transparency of what AJ said yesterday, I came away with that same impression, and it's been reported on that, the Padres are interested in maybe attaching him to the Juan Soto deal. So I did come away with the same impression that I bet that's somebody they're either getting calls on or that they want to attach in some sort of deal, and you certainly understand it. I thought an interesting part of the center field conversation yesterday, AJ was also asked about Fernando Tatis Jr. and the potential of him playing center field. And, AJ was pretty clear that Fernando's a guy, and we know this about him, that's willing to do whatever it takes to win, but that he did find a home in right field. But that there would be more conversations about it, and they also have to look at how the roster comes together. So, I don't think it's totally off the table that Fernando could eventually end up in center field, depending on what this roster looks like. But, there did seem to be maybe a little inclination. Maybe this is something we hear about more today from Mike Schultz if he's asked about it, that Fernando's turned himself into a platinum glove right fielder, and maybe that's something at the moment that you don't mess with. But, that's all part, I think, of the conversation with Grisham, what this roster looks like, Fernando. Again, you look at a lot of these elements, and man, there are a lot of moving pieces, and I think it all depends on what this roster looks like, what the Padres get back in a trade potentially for Soto and beyond.
Sammy Levitt joins us live from Nashville at the winter meetings on Ben and Woods. It was so bad yesterday, Sammy, and so slow that I've never seen this before. Eric Fetty from the KBO alleged to have signed a 2-year deal for $5 million a year. And nobody knows where he's going. I guess they narrowed it down to the Mets and the White Sox. Any answer on a guy trying to make his way back into the big leagues? That's how far we've fallen. Guys waiting for this news to break. Padres, I guess, are not in on him. Seems to be a pretty decent pitcher at a pretty reasonable price. But any update on that situation?
No, I haven't heard anything on that.
Jeez, man.
Yeah. Yesterday was a weird day. I mean, certainly, as far as comparing it to last year, where, there was a lot of action. I don't recall if day one was super quiet or not, but it certainly wasn't as quiet as this one was. So, I think the fear for everybody around here today and tomorrow, like you alluded to, Woodsy, is that the Ohtani situation is going to hold up a lot of this. And for that matter, and I think I touched on this yesterday, there's a feeling of that with Yamamoto as well, and it doesn't necessarily seem like either of those guys are in a rush to sign anywhere.
Fantastic.
So, look, I think we all understood entering this offseason that the Ohtani situation was going to be the first domino, right? And
very
maybe
unique.
The hope
unique.
Yeah, maybe the hope industry-wide was that would be settled by the time we got here. It's not. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, as you talk to people here, that this may end up being a very quiet meeting. But as we know, that can change very, very quickly. So for my sake, I hope there is some action, so I don't have to resort to Broadway to get my entertainment.
Well, they do have the draft lottery today. We talked about that yesterday. The Padres have to overcome the odds to get a top 6 pick. Otherwise, they can't pick any better than 24th because they're going to be penalized 10 spots, and we went through it yesterday. Like, they get a 0.7 chance to land the number 1 overall pick. Is that something they'll let you watch or anything there, or is that just televised? I have no idea how that works.
Or would you want to?
That is an outstanding question. I have not seen anything on the draft lottery here. I've not seen anything that says where it is or when it is, but I'm going to find out because I would like to see that. The Rule 5 draft, I believe, is on Thursday. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I did go to that last year, and for as thrilling as it was, I mean, I say that, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it is kind of significant, especially for the Padres.
No doubt.
Because, hey, they may end up, with their pitching situation or whatever it might be, getting a Rule 5 guy who may end up having some sort of impact. I mean, I'll say this. They I think it was Jose Lopez who they selected last year from Tampa Bay. I mean, Lopez got plenty of play during spring training, appeared in a ton of games, and certainly was being evaluated. So, it sounds like, a little thing, the Rule 5 draft, but you never know how that how that player or two may actually impact your team over the course of a season. And look, if they do impact your team, they have to, be up on the major league roster in a lot of cases. So, I'm gonna look into that though, the lottery, because I've not seen one thing about it. If there is some sort of ceremony or live drawing, I mean, you bet I'll be there.
I mean, you
sure,
can't.
So.
That's high drama watching guys pull ping pong balls, Sammy. So we're going to need full.
I don't even know if they let you watch that part. Maybe
Yeah.
they transfer it just to like placards, like
Right.
the Pittsburgh Pirates will select third in the 2024 MLB draft.
Baseball really crushing it. Just really continuing to crush it.
Sammy,
right
good work.
Thank you, buddy.
Keep up the good work. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and of course, we'll hear from you later today here on the Fan.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Sam Levitt with us, and you mentioned about Trent Grisham. It felt like, and we can play the audio from AJ if you want coming up, but it felt like while he was still high on Trent Grisham and keeping his value up, like his defense is great, we consider him very valuable. He started talking about the prospects coming up and how Jacob Marcy and some of the others might be replacing Trent Grisham here soon, which makes him more expendable than he's been the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, when he starts to mention names of replacements,
yes,
that's when you're
that's
like,
what I thought
okay.
too.
Yeah.
Was kind of key. So we can play that audio coming up as we come back. Reset things for the second half of Ben and Woods. We'll go back out to Nashville again in our third hour of the program. AJ Cassavell is going to be with us. He had some interesting pieces yesterday for MLB.com as well. We continue our coverage of the MLB Winter Meetings 2023, Nashville, Tennessee, home of the Grand Ole Opry on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, my friends, we are halfway home on what's been a very spicy Tuesday here on the program, as it were.
Jalapeno, habanero, just ghost peppers. Are we going all the way?
Mixed together.
All of them in a blender.
Yeah.
One chip challenge.
Yeah.
You're sweating again.
I am. I wonder if I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, executive producer, Aztec alum. By the way, Benjamin Higgins, Aztec supporter and friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Is menopause a real thing? Because you guys have seen me. We worked together almost 6 years now. When we first started, I would do the entire show in a hoodie, frozen to the core, leggings, long sleeve shirt, hoodie. Now I'm pitting out every single
I wonder, you kind
day.
of bulked up a little bit, muscle-wise. I mean, you've been going to the gym a lot. I wonder if just the added musculature is affecting your body chemistry
Is that a real thing?
I don't know. I'm
is
not a
it
doctor.
hormones? What is it?
I'm not a doctor. I got requested to do an interview as if I'm some sort of medical expert, which is going to be...
You have to do it.
Weird. No, it's...
Wait.
So
fill me in.
So, friend Will Carroll, who covers injuries for baseball and other sports, met him at the winter meetings here in San Diego a few years ago.
Okay.
Followed him for a long
We've
time.
had him on the show.
Yeah, we've had him on the show. He's got a friend
Will
who
Carroll?
Totally.
Yeah, he's got a friend who's working on. Let's see, what is it? It's a. He's been a member of the baseball community, specializes in arm development, injury prevention via arm care and approach to throwing.
Yeah.
And he's interested in my perspective as the grandson of Dr. Robert Curlin.
Oh.
And the Curlin joke, because he's done a lot of things with their clinic and just wanted to ask me a few questions. But I don't know that I have any answers for him. I never studied. I'm related to him, but I never studied medicine. I never
Under him.
I didn't get a tutelage at his knee.
Now, Ben,
about
here's
how to
what you do.
care for Sandy Koufax's arm when I was a kid. So I'm not sure what kind of insight I'm going to be able to add to his research.
I mean, you have to do this, though.
Yeah, I mean,
did you write him back and say, why do you
He says,
want
the
to
reason
talk?
I'm reaching out to you is because I'm currently doing research on an article, including some suggestions, adaptations to the current return to throwing program protocols, rehabilitation. I would talk to Dr. Yoakum at your grandfather's clinic. This is for an article that has to do sourcing with the origin of the return to throwing program. I'd be beyond grateful to ask you a few questions, what you may know or recall from your grandfather's experience. So, I mean, just what I remember.
Okay.
But I don't know that I remember enough or was, I mean, I was like, 4 years old when he was kind of in his prime,
Bo.
treating the top athletes in the world. And I certainly got to meet him and cheer for them, but I wasn't really in the exam room or, around the operating theater at the time.
I heard Sandy Koufax's arm. It sounded like a rubber band when he would pull it back. So we knew, my grandfather and I, we knew something was wrong. Can you even throw? That's another question. He wants to talk to you.
Can I throw?
Yes.
I haven't done it in a long time. I mean, I was a pitcher growing up. I remember my arm being sore sometimes.
Right.
But never got to the point where I needed any surgery or anything.
Well, because I wonder, is my body changing?
Would you like me to diagnos you? Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, yeah, doctor. I would like you to.
I need a stethoscope.
I read something recently, too. I'm sure you guys...
Play doctor this morning?
Yeah, perfect. You guys are on Instagram as well.
Turning cough.
Have you been seeing the ads for the ice baths? They're everywhere. Mm-hmm. I think Joe Musgrove has one that you can buy with,
like cold tubs.
Yeah, like the ice tubs, the ice baths. So I'm very susceptible to buying things off the internet. I have not, just for the record, I have not bought an ice bath yet. Okay? Yet. I like the idea of working out, then recovering and feeling better after. But I just read a study, Ben, that they say now ice is bad for you. So I don't know what to think anymore.
Well, if there's even a chance it's bad for you, the fact that it is undeniably unpleasant really kind of turns you south on the entire process of the ice bath.
So I read that study. Thank God I didn't buy
I
one.
I need to know that, okay, ice baths are absolutely the best possible thing you can do.
Yeah.
You're never going to be in pain again. You're going to live to be 115 years old, only if you get in an ice bath. Then maybe I'd get in. But if there's any doubt about the research on this, I don't want to try it. I hate getting in icy cold water. water.
I
hate it.
When we go to fantasy camp, they've got the cold tub and the hot tub. So the reason why I tend to kind of believe it is because everybody uses it. I think all athletes, they use it. But they said if you're lifting weights a lot and you get into the ice bath, it will constrict your muscles, which is not what you want. You don't want them constricted. You want the blood flowing through them.
Constricts everything.
Right, yeah, it really does constrict everything. And they say, well, they used to say stay in there for 20 minutes or so. Now you only need 6 to 8 minutes. I can't sit in there. I sit in there for 10 seconds, and then I jump right back into the hot tub.
I don't think that helps at all.
Ed says it releases endorphins. I did read a lot, do you ever in the morning...
Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
The excruciating pain and discomfort is endorphins, huh?
You guys don't shower in the morning. So every now and then, if I'm very, very tired or...
Cold shower?
Not cold shower. Normal, hot shower, wash myself, bathe myself, and then for 10 seconds, turn it down and just... whew, and I get out and I feel great. Like mentally, it really, really helps. But I can't bring myself to put an actual ice bath in my backyard. Also, I got to stop by the Chevron every day, get 6 bags of ice, dump it in there.
I thought this new ice bath made
no,
the water
it's not like an
cold
ice
for
machine.
you. We're just talking about a plastic tub.
It's basically 2023.
It's basically a tub. It's basically a tub, and I think it will keep for a couple days or whatever. But I think you do have to replenish the ice after a while.
Saw a video yesterday of Steve-O was doing an interview while having cupping done on his back.
Yeah, I've done cupping.
I've never had that.
It's great.
And
I don't know if it works, but it feels pretty good.
The person that was doing the cupping said, he was in pain. And they're like, you're going to be a little sore after this, but you are going to have the best night's sleep you've ever had. And I was like, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's where they
I've
put a bulb on your back and then light a candle above it and
I don't know that there's a candle.
Oh, I thought there was a candle involved.
No, that's something weird you in your bedroom.
They just kind of, it's supposed to pull the toxins out of you. I don't know how much any of this stuff actually works, but I can be sold, as you guys know. But I read
this. If you feel like it works, then it works.
I feel like that's part of it too. I read that study and I went, well, can't buy one of those. I don't want to undo any of the work that I've done.
When I go to the beach and it's 64 degrees, the water, I'll get the toe in and run out and put my toes back in and run out because I can't do it. I can't do cold water.
Yeah, well, it's that when we go
Never
to camp.
Gonna do a polar plunge?
No,
I see those people who do that and they jump into the icy stream or the icy lake in winter and they all look so happy and I can't even understand that. I don't even want to go watch people doing that. I
did read something, too, that said try an ice bath maybe before your workout, which is insane to me. It all sounds insane to me. But, I think Joe Musgrove probably swears by an ice bath. They sit in those things for 20 minutes. But I'd also read in the last couple of years, if you got small kids and stuff, when I was growing up, when Ben was growing up, maybe Paulie too, when you get done throwing 100 pitches, man, I had a sleeve that I had.
Fair enough.
They say don't even ice your arm anymore. I don't push
myself to great extents where I think I'm taxing my body tremendously. I do my Peloton, my light workouts. I don't lift super heavy weights, just enough to kind of get the muscles going and toning. But I'm not super sore after workouts. And yes, maybe I'm not getting as much out of it then. I'm not making huge strides. But I don't want to have that super long recovery time. I'm not throwing 108 pitches like Joe Musgrove is.
But they say now you don't even ice your arm after you throw, which I'm like, that blew my mind because that was you ran to the freezer when you were a kid and threw your ice
you don't do anything? Or is it
nothing? Well,
there's always the debate, ice or heat.
No, that they say ice is the worst one. But again, I don't know, so I'm asking for help from our tier
Well,
ones.
I can give all this information to the guy who wants to interview me now about arm recovery.
Please do. Please do. But I want to. Megan says, Paul, please start showering in the morning. I'm so embarrassed.
I'm showering at night.
I don't. Why do you need to? I shower in the afternoon. Once a day seems like plenty. I do it after I work out. That seems like you have to shower after you work out.
I just can't get going without it. I can't.
But then you shower again after you work out. So you have to shower twice a day.
No, I get to shower twice a day. That's how I look at it. I enjoy the shower.
Don't let it go mistaken. If I'm playing basketball after the show today, I will shower right after that. and then I'll probably shower again tonight.
I saw where
I just
Shannon
don't like waking up earlier, like 10 minutes earlier to take the shower. I can do it right before I go to bed and get into bed.
I can't focus.
My bed's not dirty. Like
I can't focus unless I'm showered and have the routine down in the morning.
I saw where Shannon Sharp brushes his teeth 5 to 7 times a day.
That seems excessive to me.
I thought so as well.
What are you guys? Twice
Twice
a day.
Yeah.
5 to 7?
Sometimes thrice. Sometimes
You get to thrice.
Sometimes
Depends on what you're eating.
He
I
had
guess. Get some
like
stuck.
I mean, he's on TV, and maybe I should do it more, but
Maybe I should too.
He's like every time before he's on camera, and that's usually a couple times a day when he gets up, when he goes to bed, after breakfast as well.
That's a good one.
You know, like first when you get up and then after breakfast again, like twice in the morning. That seems like a lot.
I wonder. I don't know that I brush my teeth every morning.
I don't. I do it at night.
So you're
And
a
then I
once a
often-
day guy.
No, but then I'll often do it when I shower.
Yeah.
Which is usually in the afternoon before I go to work on television.
I definitely brush every morning. If I'm going to forget, it would be at night.
I can't go to bed without brushing my teeth. It's like a must. Before I won't even be able to fall asleep if I haven't brushed my teeth.
I've definitely
Last
skipped
thing
the
before I
night
go to
before.
bed. Yeah.
I've probably skipped a day. Let's be honest. We all probably have skipped a day.
I
recently
don't think I have in years.
Really.
Yeah.
Just passed out and didn't do it.
If I did, I woke up then an hour or two later,
And brushed
got
your
up
teeth.
and went and brushed my teeth.
It's amazing. Yeah, I just got a DM that said ice delays healing by vasoconstriction. It can be used to reduce swelling, but you actually want inflammation for immediate repair. Okay, good. You just saved me probably, $200, $300 from putting an ice bath in my backyard. And I'll just continue
you
to
would have done it too.
Oh, I would. Paulie, I had my finger on the button. I was like, man, look at this guy. Look at he's yoked. And
Leave it
he's
in your
in
cart.
there.
Maybe you'll get a discount code, and then you'll get it.
I saw Joe was like selling some on his Instagram, and I'm like, well, if it's good enough for him, boy, you get me real good. I am a rube. I am an absolute rube. If anything is going to help me take a shortcut,
Well,
that's what I want.
Obviously, you've seen things evolve. When's the last time? Well, I guess pitchers don't hit anymore, but even in the last years when they didn't really keep putting the jackets on anymore when they went out to run the bases. Remember when we were a kid?
They ran
and
it
a
out.
pitcher got
It
onto
was
first
such
base.
eyewash. It was so
They'd run
funny.
out with a jacket on so he wouldn't get cold out there while he was running the bases. And I always thought, this is San Diego.
You're good. It's 73
degrees
man. Yeah.
tonight, and they're running out there with a jacket for you just so you can run the bases.
Yeah, Rafa says this is how cold the stove is. You're talking about showers at 8 a.m. Yeah, we usually this is more of a reset the vibe, but you're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong. It's slow. We are waiting. What are they talking? They're talking to AJ Hinch right now on MLB Network.
I know where the winter meetings are. They're in Nashville. I get it. But they did like a full 15-minute segment last hour on MLB Network with some country singer that I've never heard of playing his guitar.
Yeah.
Brian Kenny sitting there dancing. I'm like, wow. We need
everyone,
some news.
Everyone's losing it a little bit. The Guzzinator says, I've got some magic beans that will guarantee Soto stays with San Diego. Do you want to buy them Woods? Yes, I will Venmo you immediately. That is something I would buy from an Instagram targeted ad.
Can we talk a little bit about our friend Ryan Phillips?
Sure.
And his piece yesterday in the Big Lead stands in stark contrast to some of the other things you're reading about the San Diego Padres. He's got either different sources or a different perspective on everything that's going on, but he's really a lone voice right now when it comes to some Padres reporting. There's the traditional media, the national media, they're saying one thing. Ryan says a whole different thing, and I wanted to get into a little bit of that coming up next as the Padres make their plans here for the offseason. We'll talk about that coming up after a check of traffic. Be right back with more Bennett Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. good buddy of ours from thebiglead.com, and does more Padres writing on that site, probably because he lives here in San Diego, and he's a Padres fan. So, and I don't want to say that I'm a Padres fan, and I don't think that means I have no credibility in talking about the team, but I think it's very interesting that Ryan Slant, his reporting, and it's more than just opinion, because he has sources that I know he has sources inside the organization that are feeding him information. So does Ken Rosenthal, so does Dennis Lin, and so do AJ Cassavell. They all have sources. Some are the same, some are different. But whatever Ryan's sources tell him, definitely a little bit different than what the national narrative has been. The national narrative, very clear. Padres are under a mandate to cut payroll.
We're broke. We're going bankrupt.
Padres need to get $50 million off the books, get down to around $200 million or less. The debt service rules, they're getting squeezed, and that's why they almost certainly have to trade Juan Soto. Ryan's reporting has been very different. He acknowledges that, yes, the Padres are lowering payroll, but that $200 million payroll level that's being reported, it's not some hard and fixed number that the Padres have to get to. In fact, he wrote in thebiglead.com that what he hears is that $220 million is actually very, very doable, very possible, even very likely for the Padres next season. And at that level, they certainly could keep Juan Soto and still add some pitching for next season if that's the direction that A.J. Preller wants to go. The headline is, newsflash, the Padres don't have to trade Juan Soto. Now, maybe, his sources are trying to push a little bit of that agenda to try to drive up the price on Juan Soto as well. That is something that happens in all elements of the media. You get used by your sources. Sometimes they tell you right info. Sometimes they tell you info that is at least slanted in a way that gets the outcome that they want to get in the end. And Ryan's reporting has been, well explained, well-reasoned, well-opinionated. He also mentions that there is a TV deal in the works, a new TV deal currently being worked on that could have multiple components and could very well affect the financial outlook for the Padres in 2024. I haven't heard much about a new TV deal myself. That was fairly new information coming out of thebiglead.com. So you gotta keep an eye on all sources out there, all reporting. Take all of it with a grain of salt. If you just read everything in the offseason at face value, I don't think you're a savvy baseball fan. Who's saying it? Why are they saying it? Who is talking to that person? Everybody has agendas, and you have to try to separate the truth from the misdirection this time of year.
Yeah, I like this part, and he's right about this part. He says, buried in the Athletics article about that $50 million the Padres needed was the fact that loans like this are standard operating procedure for Major League Baseball franchises. MLB teams commonly tap into lines of credit to pay their bills, prompting some officials in the sport to suggest any concern should be tempered because the Padres were ultimately credit-worthy enough to draw the loan. That's one thing that people do forget. You can't just get a $50 million loan without some assurance that you can pay it back. Right? So,
yeah, and given the context of Peter's passing after the loan was taken out and knowing the uncertainty that was probably hanging over the franchise at that moment, I can understand why the group of investors that owns the San Diego Padres would say at that moment, let's just get the loan, figure it out, and then figure it out later, and then we'll be able to handle this from a better perspective. Maybe in a few months when we have a little more certainty, unfortunately, with the direction of the organization. Who's going to be our control person? What's going on? What's Peter's status? Unfortunately, I think that all played into the financial decisions that the Padres were making over the last few months.
And, every team is going to have to reset at some point. Every team is going to want to get under it. They don't want to pay the penalties. I don't really blame them for that. So now it's behooves A.J. Preller now to try to find a way to build on this momentum that he has helped create here in San Diego. That's the toughest part of the gig, because if you do keep Juan Soto, Ben, and let's say you're not, I saw something, Royals have $30 million to spend this offseason. My initial thought, based on everything I've been reading and probably consuming too much of, was, oh, good, they have more money to spend in free agency than we do. Now, I don't know that. I don't know that. We had heard that before. I vividly recall, it being reported last year the Padres had $20 million to spend, 25 maybe. They blew well past that. I'm hoping something similar happens, but I also hope that they're smart about it. I'm not playing Colonel Budget here at all, but at some point, Ryan makes the point too. Eventually, as the guys from the lower levels come up and they're making the league minimum, you don't have to go out and get 15, 16, $20 million players to fill out your roster, which has been, that's been the MO of AJ Preller, and it hasn't really worked to this point. So
I feel like from a completely financial independent standpoint, as a Padres fan, I would love to see some of these young players come up and produce. I think that would be exciting for the San Diego Padres organization, an injection of some new younger blood, not because they're cheap, but because I feel like the Padres need a little bit of that, what the Texas Rangers had last year. And you'll never get it if all you ever do is trade away your prospects.
No, it'll never happen.
For proven players. I get it. We love proven players, and they're a little more reliable. But if you keep doing that and never give your own guys a shot, you're just riding the same merry-go-round over and over and over again. And at some point, you have to roll the dice with your own prospects and hope that they're as good as you think that they are coming up, and give them a chance to maybe struggle a little bit, find their footing, and become legitimate Major League Baseball players. And this is the path that the Padres are going to be on for a couple of seasons. And we're lucky that they also have a number of huge stars that can play alongside these guys as they're coming up, that should keep them very competitive and, entertaining while they are, developing some of these players that are coming up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're dead on there. And I do wonder, don't you guys wonder what it would have been like for the Texas Rangers had that September swoon continued? Had them falling off that cliff in September, and they lost the division on the last day of the season. What if they never made the playoffs? And that was likely. Like, it wasn't like, it felt like, oh my God, this could actually happen. They would have to be in some sort of financial dire straits that we are in as well. Missing the playoffs last year murdered us.
Is Bruce Bochy on the hot seat?
Not anymore. His seat is an ice bath. He is sitting right now literally in an ice bath. So you couldn't get a cooler seat than his. But just think about that. They spent an ungodly amount of money, and they throwing that much money at Jacob deGrom, guys, is not smart baseball. They look like geniuses
in
now.
Early September, they looked like a cautionary tale.
Bro, 100%. And people were like, well, see, this you can't do it this way, apparently. They figured it out. They got in. They damn near backed in. And then they went out and they won the whole thing.
In conclusion, Ryan Phillips writes, yes, I know New York Yankees fans and beat writers have convinced themselves the Padres are backed into a corner and will have to accept trading Soto for a fifth starter and a group of prospects New York doesn't want. That's simply not the case. The Padres have plenty of leverage in these talks because, again, they don't have to move Soto if they don't get what they want. Will Juan Soto be a member of the Padres on opening day? There's no way to know right now, but the idea that the franchise has to make a deal as soon as possible is a silly, simplistic narrative that has no basis in reality.
I sure hope so. I sure hope that whole thing is not true. That, well, you can't do anything until you move him, so you best move him. I feel like if that were the case, based on how things are going in Major League Baseball, I feel like if that were the case, they would have just pulled the trigger Friday night on the Clark Schmidt deal and said, "Oh, we got what we could."
We talked about it earlier.
Paulie, if I hamstring you
if that
so
does
badly,
happen, how are you going to eat your hair?
I'll just cut some off and eat it.
You don't have to eat all of it.
No,
just some of it.
Eat my hair.
No, because you said eat your hair.
Yeah, if I eat one hair, that's still eating my hair. But
okay.
I'm not going to just eat
semantics.
one hair. I'll eat one hair right now. I don't care.
We talked about it earlier with Shohei Ohtani. I think that's a huge factor in the Juan Soto sweepstakes. If Ohtani signs this week, like everybody, all the national media is saying, it could happen any day this week. With Ohtani, that once he's off the board, that drives the Juan Soto market up.
Sure.
Well,
so I would expect if the Padres decide they want to move Juan Soto, it would happen, I don't know, within a couple of days of Ohtani signing.
The difference, though, Paulie, is if you trade Juan Soto, how much you saving? $33 million. Mm-hmm. If you trade him in a week, if you're really dumping him for money, right? To save money so that would allow you to go do other things. What does it really
Then
matter?
Take it for what it's worth. AJ Preller was asked that exact question yesterday on High Heat. He said, we're not making trades
For
just
need.
for need.
Yep.
There's a reason why they use the first domino to fall metaphor, and I know this is a bit of Ben-splaining, but we talk about it all the time.
Are you about to Ben-splain
Are
dominoes?
you about to say, have you ever seen dominoes stacked up?
It does happen quickly because once the first move happens, it creates an urgency for the other moves. Once you don't get Ohtani, all of a sudden, if you lose out on Soto, you're going, there's no more superstars out there. And the move would likely, happen fairly quickly after that, which leads, of course, to the next move happening fairly quickly after that, like a series of dominoes that are set up that are now falling one after another. Do we understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure.
I think we all got it.
Okay, just checking. Words have meaning.
They do. They do.
Okay. Let's take a timeout as we reset from that
Timeout
moment.
is what you want to do is you want to take a little break. Right? When you take a timeout, you take a little break and then you come back. Just take a breather.
Like during a sporting event.
They do timeout.
When they call a timeout, they usually go back to the huddle for a couple of minutes. That's what we're going to do. We're going to huddle.
Yeah.
Going to come back.
We're going to play some commercials, which
AJ
is when businesses
Cassavell,
want to promote their
we're actually in a
products.
bit of a holding pattern. AJ's may join us next. He's in a meeting. We may
I
have to
did
push
not
him
know
back
that.
until
He's
9
in a
o'clock.
work meeting.
Yeah.
He said it could end at any minute. If that were to happen, he'll join us next.
But if the meeting ends, then the first domino falls, which then leads to AJ Cassavell joining us coming up on the show. I'm just going to say goodbye for a moment on 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah.
Have you heard your name yet in our biggest fan contest? If not, maybe today is your day. Next name coming up at 9:15 this morning. If you hear it, you'll have a chance to call us back and qualify for a night in the Odyssey Suite next season with friends, family, and 97.3 The Fans hosts. The biggest fan contest is presented by the San Diego Seals. Tickets are on sale now at sealslax.com. By the way, have you warmed up your voice yet for the start of Seal season?
I was actually thinking about it last night that I kind of need to do that because it's a tremendous, tremendous strain on the old pipes. And game is Saturday night. Very excited about it. Now, I got excited again. This happened to me last time, and I got my heart broken. I told you the news this morning. So our in-game reporter is Rain Michaels. She is the daughter.
How does she spell it?
Raine.
Okay.
Rain Michaels is our in-game reporter. She does kind of the, Coach Merrill, what's working, that bit. Sideline reporter. She's awesome. She's the daughter of Brett Michaels of Poison and Rock of Love. And for me, Poison. I mean, I grew up, was a hair metal kid when I was, little. And like Every Rose Has Its Thorn is one of my favorite songs of all time to this day. You can get some if you want to, Paulie. I'm not going to say no. So last year he was supposed to come to a game. And I was all excited. I had some magazines that were old, left over from the 80s. I wanted him to sign one for me, a record I wanted him to sign. And he was supposed to come, and I was mistaken. He didn't. So I was very bummed. The whole season goes by. He never makes it to town. He was touring. Well, now, so I saw that he was in Arizona, like yesterday. And I went, well, Arizona's awfully close to San Diego. So I DM'd my friend Rain, who I work with, my coworker. Said, hey, we're going to get your dad out to a game this year. And she said, opening night. And I go, okay, all right, okay. I got to get my hair cut. I got to get my eyebrows done. I got to get just ready to go. I got to get fully in the mode. Because I loved this band when I was a little kid. I mean, I was little. I was like 7th grade. Poison, Warrant, Rat, all of it. It was such a metal head. Here we go. You know what? It sure does.
That song is not very metal, though.
No, but
That's
they
a
all
ballad.
had a
That's a great song.
That was the thing. You had the We Party, We Like to
Absolutely
Rage,
fits.
and then you have your ballad, and that's what makes you all your money. They weren't writing songs, Ben, like Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Like, let's change the world, people. No, they were writing songs about let's party, let's drink, let's have fun, get laid, things like of that nature. And it was fun. It was a good time atmosphere. And
being born in 1990, I knew he was a musician. I
Yes.
knew those songs.
But you knew him
But
from
I knew him as Rock of Love.
Rock of Love. Same with my wife.
Just incredible as far as bad reality TV
Yeah,
goes.
right.
It was
So
you couldn't stop it.
Allegedly, he's going to be. So I get this news last night at 8:45. Well, I can't sleep now. I'm in the room. I'm pulling out my old circus magazines. I'm looking for I'm getting my record handy. My wife is looking at me going, You're out of your mind. And I'm drumming, listening to Poison in bed. And I just got excited because if I get to meet him, I mean, my band, when I was a kid, we used to cover those songs. Like, it would be amazing.
If you meet him, invite him to the holiday extravaganza, too.
It would be the greatest appearance of, what do you charge? I don't have it, but what do you charge? To come in and jam Every Rose for our tier ones, man. He's
Bobby Cressy and Brett Michaels together.
the combo
What a
that
duo.
I need it. I absolutely need it. But so he'll allegedly be there. I hope I didn't let anything out of the bag. If I did, nobody told me differently. But yeah, so Saturday night, Pechanga Arena.
I mean, he's not like a head of state. I doubt he needs to come with Secret Service protection. It's a Seals game.
But if they had something planned and I just blew it, I don't know. I don't know. I hadn't heard anything. So they keep me out of the loop on a lot of stuff. I just show up, do my
Is he
job.
gonna sing national anthem? Or?
Potentially. So that is potentially going to be happening on Saturday. I'm a wreck. Like, I'm an absolute wreck. And I DM'd her last night. I go, all right, well, please don't let him leave the building without, me hugging him, maybe kissing him on the cheek. telling him how fantastic he is, getting a couple things signed. But yeah, so that's going to be fun on Saturday night, and going to rage and scream and bang on the glass, let it all out. It's always a fun time.
All right, AJ Cassavell just updated us. He is going to join us at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock. I did promise I wanted to get to some of that AJ Preller sound from yesterday.
Yep.
Couple of cuts in particular about finding pitching and about Trent Grisham that I wanted to play. We'll do that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Let me start with because we talked to Sammy when he joined us, Sam Levitt, last hour about the Trent Grisham trade rumors, and it feels as though it's more than just being attached to the Yankees trade proposal. They need outfielders. They need help in outfield, and Trent Grisham might be someone who, in addition to Juan Soto, could fit for the New York Yankees. It's not really a salary dump. I understand that Trent Grisham doesn't hit at all, which makes, for some fans, paying him $1 feel like he's being overpaid because he hits 177. But the defense that he brings still plays, and it's going to have value around baseball for what he does. But for the Padres, with some younger players coming up, it may be time for Trent Grisham to move on. Here's what AJ had to say about potential Trent Grisham trade rumors.
Again, I assume talking about Grisham and Trent's name out there, I think, again, Trent, obviously the last couple of years offensively, he hasn't performed like we know he's capable of and what he did in 2020 and 2021, 2019 for that matter, but he's a Gold Glove center fielder. He impacts the game every day. I think we all see it when we're watching him play. So, again, it's tough to find, especially in Petco, the value of defense and the ability to play center field defense. I think we value that, strongly. I do think that the emergence of some younger players in the minor leagues, Jacob Marcy, and we have some guys that can play in the middle of the diamond and play some center field for down the road. That becomes a conversation, but everyday big league players, they're tough to find, and again, we're gonna value those guys quite a bit.
All right, AJ to English translation on that one, at least for me. Trent Grisham is movable at this point.
Yep.
We're not going to give him away because we know teams are desperate even for a good defensive center fielder. They're not everyday commodities, so don't just ask for nothing, but he is available. We are looking to the future, and we're going to probably play some of our prospects like Jacob Marcy out there at some point this season, and we will figure it out. But if the right offer is made, Trent Grisham is absolutely available at this moment.
Got to be pretty excited if you're Jacob Marcy hearing that yesterday from the
getting name dropped.
Getting name dropped from the GM. Yeah, I mean we talked to
Arizona Fall League MVP.
Yeah,
he's coming off a very a hot month of September, October that he had.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's very young, very young player, but it's going to be exciting. I would like you to bonk me over the head and wake me up when we are in the car on the way out to spring training so that I know what this roster looks like, because it does lend itself to a lot of possibilities, a lot of what ifs. Who's gonna break with the team? What young players are going to have an impact? How many guys is he going to trade for? I mean, it's all out there, and this is what every team goes through. Most teams this time of year, it's different here. It's different. I mean, you could turn over 7-8 guys and you wouldn't even blink an eye.
We heard that Fernando Tatis Jr., the plan right now is for him to stay out in right field. If you trade Trent Grisham and you're not ready to promote Jacob Marcy or a young player yet, are you okay with Sugar, Jose Azocar, at least for a couple of months until the trade deadline, until Marcy is ready to come up manning center field for you on a fairly regular basis?
If you're going to run a Zokar out there, you might as well just leave Grisham out there. I mean, if I'm going,
if you can get a solid, solid bullpen piece or a fifth or sixth starter for Trent
really
Grisham,
nice off the bench.
You save $5 million to put toward another potential pitching piece in this offseason. and Azokar becomes your stopgap until he probably returns to being that utility backup role that you had him in last season. I mean, he had nice stretches. He played.
Say 0.1 player, more player.
I'm not saying he's your center field of the future. I'm saying, can he be your center fielder for 3 months?
That's a long time, dude. That's a third of the season.
Half
of the season.
If you trade Trent Grisham, then don't you have to go out and acquire another center fielder?
You do.
Then why are you trading Trent Grisham? You're not going to find anyone that's considerably less expensive.
Right. That's kind of what I was just saying.
I mean, if you're trying to find someone,
that's your option, then you just keep
If you're trying to find someone who hits 50 points higher in average than Trent Grisham, then you can play Jose Azokar. What was his batting average last year?
251, I think.
75 points higher than Trent Grisham out there.
Yeah, limited time.
Yes.
Certainly.
I mean, but it's not as though you don't have an option out there.
I'm sorry, 231. My bad.
50 point, as I said, 50 points higher than Trent Grisham hit last year.
OBP of 278, strikes out, a good amount. OPS plus of 78. No, I'm not putting him out there for 3 months. That's 90 days. That's 80
Too long.
some
So-
odd games. There's no
so-
chance.
But I don't know that you can put Grisham out there for 90 days.
At least I'm going to get defense.
Get some walks.
Get some walks and some bombs from time to time. I'm down to explore better options, but I think Jose Azokar is a perfect fifth outfielder. I don't know that he's a starter.
I don't think he's a long-term starter, but I don't know that
I wish he was. I wish he was the next guy.
I don't think the Padres can spend a lot on a center fielder right now.
No.
And if you're trying to save money on Grisham,
And that means you're going to leave Tatis and Wright. If you leave Tatis and Wright, you do need to find somebody that can fill that hole until Marcy's ready, as he mentioned. But you never hear he didn't say, no, we're fine. If we get rid of Grish, we've got a Azokar ready to go. He never said that. So, that tells me something.
No,
as well.
but you also don't go out and acquire a center fielder and sign into a 2-year deal if your idea is Marcy is going to be your starter by August or so. You can't block him by signing a guy and spending a bunch of money on someone. You have to have a stopgap for a while. And all I'm asking is Azokar good enough to be a stopgap for 3 or 4 months, if that's what you need before you're going to the younger guys?
When I hear stopgap, I think of so-and-so tweaked his groin. Sugar's going to have to play for a week. I don't think half a season would necessarily be a stopgap. I think he's the starting center fielder. Hey, listen, I love that kid. I do. I love the way he plays. I just don't know that he's good enough to do that on an everyday basis. I mean, I guess we'll see, but I don't think that's in their plans either. I really don't. I don't think that's even something that they would consider. But I've been wrong before.
I will
be wrong again.
I will go out on a limb, and I will predict that at least for opening day,
he's there.
Jose Azokar will be in center field for the Padres in 2024.
I'll take your money. We'll start our $10 bets.
Little
again.
$10 bet here.
Starting center
Early
fielder is our last season's right fielder.
Could be,
still.
very well could be, but I don't know, man. I don't think that's. I would love it if it were. Like I said, if he were the incumbent or the heir apparent, I would be so
Now, maybe
excited.
you don't just get pitching back if you do trade Juan Soto. Maybe there's an outfielder that comes back, and if it's not a left fielder, maybe there's someone who plays center field. It's not something that couldn't change over the next couple of months, obviously. But I don't see you going out and directly replacing Trent Grisham if you trade Trent Grisham. I think that you are hoping that Jacob Marcy or another of your young players takes over that role sooner rather than later. Maybe June. Maybe they feel like they can move him along a little bit faster, get him to the big leagues. And there will be struggles. You have to accept that as a Padres fan, that when you bring up young players, not going to kill it from day one and never struggle in their career. Fernando Tatis Jr. is one of the only players that has really, for the most part, done that and never really had a prolonged
we bring all
period
stars.
of
Struggled
struggles.
for the vast majority
Right.
of the last 2 years.
Well,
So
but we also bring all stars here, and they struggle. So I mean, it's I got.
But if you're going to get struggles from the center fielder position, I would like to see it from somebody that you at least believe in could be your future guy.
I agree. But you have to be able to wear those struggles a little bit. And I know when you're competing and you're trying to make the playoffs, it's harder to do that. Like, we may be costing ourselves a game or two with this guy out there because he's not quite ready yet. But sometimes it's worth it in the long run to let him make a couple of mistakes, to learn, and then make up that ground later in the season, hopefully. Because if you just give up on guys right away, you're never going to get anything out of your farm system.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think there's a wrong answer here, but I just don't think that Sugar is a part of your everyday lineup until maybe you go out and trade for somebody better at the deadline, or you add Marcy and now he's ready after a couple of months in Double A. I just don't know. I just don't know that's the plan. I've never heard anything like that. Like, I've never heard them say, we're fine because he's here. That's it.
All right, we will have A.J. Cassavell joining us from Nashville when we come back. More from baseball's winter meetings as Ben and Woods continues on a Tuesday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we are on a clock. We're on a clock literally and figuratively, and we are on a clock with our next guest, AJ Cassavell, live from Nashville, the winter meetings. Good morning, AJ. How are you, buddy?
Good morning. I'm good. I'm I'm ready to I don't know, cover this thing. This is always probably the weirdest thing I cover every year.
Knowing you have limited time, Woods wants to get right to his big question.
Yeah. Did you get?
I think I know what this is.
Yeah.
Gonna be.
Did you get your ticket for the Sphere and your beloved fish?
I did not. I have a number of friends that are going, but I will not be going. I got a baseball season to cover.
Well, we picked it out. You
can
go Thursday
off.
I know
is
there's
an
that
off
Thursday
day.
off day. Don't think I didn't look this up.
Come on,
AJ.
AJ.
It's possible. I can always call an audible as the thing gets closer.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, I saw you two there. It changed my life forever. I talk about it and think about it every day. You will kick yourself for the rest of. You'll be on your deathbed going, I should have gone to the Sphere.
It's back there, right?
It's that good.
Like, I want to go for, if I know one song from an artist, I'm like, good enough. good enough
me.
excuse. If it's a band I really, really like, it's a no-brainer.
AJ, it's unbelievable, man. It's unreal.
They'll be back there, right?
I don't know. Yeah. They're doing 4 days, and that's all I saw. I would imagine they probably will because it will make $1 billion. But anyway,
all right,
I digress.
If the baseball winter meetings were the Sphere, what would be projected on it right now? Like, what's going on, AJ?
Like half Shohei Ohtani, half Juan Soto, but neither of them like that clear. No one knows like what team. Because that's all everyone's talking about, and there kind of hasn't been much clarity in either direction. And I don't know that much is going to happen, but in the next couple of days. But it's kind of wild the way the offseason's unfolding with some kind of question marks about all the other free agents and trade guys other than those two. And you just wait for the dominoes to fall, because I think a lot of teams are kind of waiting to see what happens.
It's glad you mentioned that, because Ben just explained to Paul and I in our audience how dominoes actually fall. So I feel much smarter after learning that.
See,
reference.
AJ, if you weren't aware, you can take the first domino and it starts to tip over. It knocks over the next domino.
So AJ Caswell joins us here on Ben and Woods this morning. I am surprised. I'm surprised that, because let's be honest, there's 25 teams that aren't going to go for Soto and or Ohtani. Why aren't they doing anything at this point? I mean, there's good-ass players out there sitting. Now, again, there's really no hurry. There's no deadline. They could go drag this thing out another 60 days if they wanted to. But that surprises me that, I know they're being talked about, but it just surprised me that there's not these little ancillary moves going on while we wait for the big dogs.
I think that's all a product of the dominoes, because when the big dogs sign, it creates a market for that kind of next tier of guys. And so if there are teams that want to sign certain pitchers who aren't, I don't know, Ohtani, Yamamoto, or if there are teams that want those lesser pitchers, well, the teams that are involved in, say, Yamamoto, they kind of need that answer before they can put their bids in there. I think players know that. I think agents know that.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a waiting game on those bigger names. Maybe if one or two of them came off the board, or maybe if one of those moves happened, things would kind of get going in the right direction. I think the Juan Soto trade potential might even be part of all that. Might even be part of a team's kind of waiting to see where those chips fall. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what comes to fruition in the next couple of days. I think the last time, or 2019 winter meetings in San Diego, where just everyone felt like they were signing, that was frankly really fun. It was kind of a cool showcase for the sport. I just don't know if that's going to happen this time around.
Would you say this inactivity or period that we have is actually probably a good thing for AJ Preller right now, in that the longer everyone goes and guys don't come off the market, he continues to keep those options open, whether he's keeping Juan Soto or trading Juan Soto. More time for Shohei Ohtani to sign and potentially, push that Soto market even further if that's the direction he's going, without losing out on maybe some of his, plan B and C and D. And, as far down as AJ goes, there's not enough letters in the alphabet usually.
That's a really good point that I hadn't really thought about. I think that the fact that the market is moving as slow as it is probably does benefit the Padres slightly right now, because they have this massive trade chip that I think most of the industry assumes they're going to move, and that is not going to address all of their needs. And so if the Padres were kind of painted into a corner with what they had available to trade, or what they had, the avenues they had to acquire the pitching that they need, maybe there's a little more desperation sensed from other teams that they needed to move Soto, but it doesn't feel that way right now, because there are just so many players available still on the pitching market and in other trades too, that I think it might benefit the Padres, if that makes sense.
And you just made a great point that I really hadn't thought of, and that is, of course, even a Juan Soto trade doesn't doesn't address all the Padres' needs, but you don't know which ones it's going to address until you pull off the trade. So you can't start going and let's sign an outfielder and a bullpen guy, and it turns out, well, we got an outfielder and a bullpen guy for Soto later. So you kind of have to wait and see what you got before you know what else you need to do the rest of the offseason.
Yeah, I think the one thing you can assume is that you'll need starting pitching.
Yes.
No matter how many pitchers you get back for Soto, you can look into starting pitching. So that's probably the one area where there's other things aside that the Padres can and should and are focused on right now.
Talking to AJ Cassavell here on Ben and Woods this morning. And, I just wonder, the trade deadline last year, AJ, it came and went. And I think we have a greater understanding now of maybe why the Padres didn't sell with everything that went on, with our beloved, dearly departed Peter Seidler. You didn't want to really throw in the towel at the trade deadline. I've asked the question of, well, knowing kind of all that, I actually wonder why they actually didn't go a little bit harder than G-Man Choi, Scott Barlow, and guys of that ilk. But they did. But they bought around. Yeah, they bought around the margins, and we all said, okay, fine. But you didn't trade Blake. You didn't trade Hader. If you go through this offseason and you don't trade Juan Soto, and you could have gotten some pitching back, is that a mistake in your eyes from AJ Preller?
It depends on who it is, who they end up, what the offers are, and then B, what the other players that they sign, like how they go about acquiring that pitching, and if there's a path where they if they end up keeping Juan Soto and they find those 4 perfect bargain bin starting pitchers that they don't have to pay a ton and can kind of keep the payroll where it needs to be. And they've signed 4 versions of Waka and Lugo, and this all works out perfectly. That is extremely hard to do. It's hard to find really good starting pitching when the whole entire sport is looking for good starting pitching in a market that is frankly, it's super tilted toward the player. And there's just, it's really competitive right now. And so I just don't think that, would it be a mistake not to trade Soto? I can't say that because he's Juan Soto. Keeping Juan Soto is, if that's your decision, I just can't fault that because he's one of the best hitters I've ever seen. That would require some really, really good player evaluation and potentially player development when they get in here with the pitching, because I just don't see how they can fill out all the holes on this roster without some sort of major trade. And the major trade that appears to be on the table is Juan Soto.
AJ, we certainly appreciate your time. I know it's busy there. We got Sammy there as well. I know you talked to him yesterday. We'll let you get back to your day, which I'm sure has about 12 hours still ahead of it. But thank you for checking in with us for a few minutes.
Yeah, happy to come on. Thanks, guys.
AJ Cassavell, MLB.com, covering the Padres from the winter meetings in Nashville. And while AJ was on, a tweet just came out that the Padres were one of the teams that have called the Cleveland Guardians about Shane Bieber. This after yesterday, there was a couple of reports that said the Padres have talked to the Milwaukee Brewers about Corbin Burns. Now, both of those are star ace-type pitchers with 1 year left on their contract.
Bieber's in a little bit of a decline, Ben.
He's certainly not Burns.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I think there's faults with both pitchers, but there's faults with almost every pitcher out there.
Still had a sub-4 ERA even in a down season for him last year, but nothing like those years he had 2.88, 1.63 in 2020, the short season when he was so outstanding.
Velo is way down for him, and that could be something that a little time with Ruben Niebla could fix. Bieber has always been an interesting pitcher to me, but
again, someone you'd lose likely at the end of the season.
Is he what
to free agency? One last ARB year projected around $12 million. For Shane Bieber next year.
That would feel like
if you're going to get one for a year, Corbin Burns at about 13 or 14 sounds a little better than Shane Bieber at 12.
Sure.
But again, it's going to cost probably a lot more in terms of prospects. The Milwaukee Brewers are in a better position when it comes to trading Corbin Burns.
I think so.
Than the Guardians would be on Shane Bieber.
Yeah, I think so too. And that to me would feel like a move that a team that had, I don't know. I mean, he slots in pretty good as a 3, and it's not a ton of money. It's not a ton of money at all. It's going to cost you a lot of prospect capital, though, which is probably something they're not.
I brought up the idea, a week or two ago, about some sort of 3-way deal with Soto that lands Corbin Burns for the Padres. A threesome would be fun.
That's right.
I don't think there's any question. Juan Soto is much more valuable as a player than even Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
He's an everyday player. Yep. He's a top 10 player in baseball. But Corbin Burns is top 10 pitcher in baseball. You need pitching more than you need offense. For the Padres, if you're going to have a player for one season,
why not both?
Yeah.
We need both.
You could do both. Yeah. That would be the all-in move for
Well,
AJ
who would the
Preller.
three teams be? Because Milwaukee's not trading for Juan Soto.
Exactly.
So you throw in Toronto or something.
Yeah, whatever team is willing to, shed, give up prospects that Milwaukee wants for Juan Soto helps the Padres acquire Corbin Burns from the Brewers. Now,
dude, nothing can surprise any of us at this point with AJ Preller, the winter meetings, and the chaos that ensues or can ensue. And you just said it. That would be going all in if they attacked for offense and very quality starting pitching. We haven't really,
but you're going to have to
talked about that as an option.
You may
AJ
have,
Preller going all in. Now he's gone all in a couple of times. It feels like
you'd have to unload your farm system again, though, because then
you may have
to
enough,
acquire Corbin Burns.
You may have enough for Corbin Burns right now
in your farm system.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely, they do.
So,
but you're going to have to clear out guys you're not inclined to trade at the moment to acquire even one season of Corbin Burns.
The all-in, I'm going to unload the farm, is definitely something we haven't really talked about yet that is a major potential thing that could happen.
We know it's solid is AJ's job.
We know it's just one season of Corbin Burns, and he's a pitcher, so only pitches every fifth day. If Juan Soto's worth Clark Schmidt, then Corbin Burns certainly is. So why don't we trade Clark Schmidt to the Brewers for Corbin Burns? Do you think they'd do that?
No.
Then why would the Padres ever trade Juan Soto for Clark Schmidt? Yeah. That's the funny thing.
I said it so much I said I'd eat my own hair if that happened.
But if the Brewers won't do it, then certainly the Padres won't do it.
Yeah.
It's almost laughable to think, oh, yeah, we'll trade you Corbin Burns for Clark Schmidt and a couple of prospects. And the Brewers would laugh, and the national media would go, why would the Brewers do that? Yet they're all going, oh, the Padres have to do that. It makes no sense. The Padres have a more valuable commodity in Juan Soto than just about anyone.
It's the number one commodity. Like, other than Shohei Ohtani, and again, I'm betting more. I think Soto has a better year than Ohtani does. Ohtani's coming up injury. I think he's going to have a better year than
that man on a contract year. Is going to be a monster next season.
Janine says Bieber would be fine, but Burns would cost too much. I don't know.
Bieber, I do believe, did work with Ruben Niebla coming up with the Guardians as well. So that would be a reunion, as you said, working with him.
Could you imagine if if he just gutted it? Because I think that this is something I've heard from more than 10 people. 10. AJ Preller thinks he can restock the farm just like that.
Every time.
He's done it. He's shown that he can. Yeah. And he is not, that's not an aspect of his gig that he's really
Ethan Salas for Corbin Burns.
No.
See? Even you have your
Jackson Merrill.
Even you have your limits. Well,
yeah.
I think a lot of people would do that, knowing Jackson has no position to play in San Diego.
Exactly.
Would the Brewers do that? I don't know.
Yeah, keep Soto, trade some prospects for Burns, and let the chips fall where they may. I like it. I like it a lot.
You still need a third and a fourth and a fifth starter after Burns,
Avila's a 4.
Musgrove, and Darvish.
Mm-hmm. Avila's a 4, and you can go
Waldron is your 5.
If there's guys out there, there's guys out there. There's still guys out there that you could bring in. The Alex Wood,
because now you've added $13 million or so in payroll for Burns.
I will tell you this,
and you're at $200 million right there.
It's like Janine says,
or a hair above if you keep Juan Soto and add Corbin Burns without signing anybody else.
Right. This is what Janine says. If this is AJ Preller's last shot at a winner, aren't you going down in flames? Aren't you going down swinging?
I haven't really let myself go there.
We've
talked about it over the years. He can't. He's not. This is it. This is the final.
This has got to be it. Yeah.
I mean, do we really think AJ's going to get another managerial hire if this doesn't work out?
It's funny
Probably
because
not.
You felt like
go all in.
Last year was the kind of year for a GM who's been told you're on your last shot here.
Right.
You can go for it, but this is it. If it doesn't
you think
work,
last year was after the NLCS? After last year,
the moves that he made, signing Bogarts and hey, we're going We're throwing everything at this season. This is a we're winning season, and if it doesn't work out, hey, I gave it my best shot. This year feels like, okay, so now you're tying maybe one arm behind his back and saying,
now you gotta go win it.
Now you really have to go win it, but you have to do it with one arm tied behind your back.
The Padres don't make
you
the
might
playoffs
have to trade Juan
in
Soto.
2024. Mike Schultz gone, AJ's gone. That's
probably. Yeah.
That's how it seems. It feels that way. So why not just go all in?
You know, his arms.
He doesn't give a damn about the farm system 3 years down the road if he's not going to be here.
His arms may be tied by financial constraints, but I doubt very much he has to call Eric Katsenda and go, I'm moving Merrill and so for him. I doubt very much that happens. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be some money.
Well, no, someone has to. The one thing that I actually do trust about A.J. Preller is I think he always is looking at both the short and long term of the organization.
Well, and you have to.
You have to have a steward for the Padres for 5 years from now. You can't let someone ruin your franchise just because he doesn't want to get fired in a year. Any team, no team can afford to have any employee who is so desperate to save their job that they will make moves that are really not that smart in order to look kind of good for 1 year, and then pay a massive price for many years to come. Is it worth it? If the Padres go, let's say, A.J. Preller to save his job, empties the farm system, goes over budget again, gets Corbin Burns, Padres get into the playoffs but lose in the division round. And now they really are in deep straits for 2025. Is that good news for AJ? Hey, made the playoffs. I guess we got to keep him. Or is the one thing that can show that AJ's value? I think for AJ, let me hold this. There's one thing that AJ needs to do. It's not win the World Series or even necessarily make the playoffs this year. Here's what AJ Preller needs to do next season. Next with Ben and Woods after traffic on the Fan. I got so excited by my spicy teas that I didn't read the name of the biggest fan. We're a couple of minutes late, but we'll give you actually a couple extra minutes. If you call in, hear your name right now, you will be the biggest fan for today. You'll have 10 minutes to call us at 833-288-0973 and be entered for our grand prize of 20 tickets to a 2024 Padres game in the Odyssey Suite to watch with your friends and all of the fans' hosts. Today's biggest fan in the morning is Carlos Rivera from Chula Vista. Carlos, you are on the clock. Give us a call now, 833-288-0973. If you haven't gotten your name registered yet, last chance here at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. The biggest fan contest presented by the San Diego Seals. Tickets are on sale now at sealslax.com. So what I teased right before we went to that break was what is it going to take for me to trust A.J. Preller is definitely the right guy for the, continuing on another decade as stewardship of the San Diego Padres. And it's not getting the Padres back to the playoffs this year. Yet with the kind of resources and stars the Padres have, any old GM should be able to get the Padres to the playoffs most years. And he hasn't even been able to do that every single season.
Right.
What I need to see from A.J. Preller is the so-called talent that he has brought up, that he has drafted, that he has signed internationally. I need to see some of those guys come up, even if it's in the second half of the season. The pitchers like Robbie Snelling, position players like Jacob Marcy or Graham Pauley or Jackson Merrill, if you find a position for him, and start to perform and help a major league team win. And do it cheaply and controllably for the next few years. And then I'll feel like, okay, the Padres are in good shape. AJ's scouting skills have paid off for the San Diego Padres for once, other than, getting another team to trade their superstar, their expensive superstars for your minor league players, which he has done, but it hasn't led to sustained success for the Padres yet.
Well, and I think
I want to see what the Braves have done. I want to see what the Rangers are now doing. I want to see young guys coming up, helping win on the major league level, and making me feel like, and guess what? In 2 or 3 years, we're still going to have those guys, and they're still going to be producing, and they're not going to worry about them getting, needing a $500 million contract yet. They need some of those guys to contribute on the big league level. And that'll mean he's being a successful general manager for the Padres. Finally.
What if he goes out and gets a bunch of guys on one-year deals and they win the World Series? So, I mean, look, there's two
honestly,
ways
I'll have less. I'll
less respect for him.
I'll say he did a great job this year in putting together an incredible team, and I will love having a World Series title in a parade.
But I really need Jacob Marcy to
But
hit
if
to
all of
prove
those
it.
guys are free agents and you can't re-sign any of them in 2025, and now you're going to be trusting a team in 2025 that's nothing but prospects, yeah, it'll feel a lot better doing that with the World Series title.
But it won't be nothing but prospects. Because you have what you have here, and we don't talk about it enough, really, because it's not like they're super young, but there is a core here. There is a core of players here that really aren't going anywhere. Build around said core. It's why I would have loved, instead of, this guy takes the majority of the shrapnel in this town right now, and it's not really fair to him, but Xander Bogaerts, I would have liked to see Xander's money go towards Juan Soto. Once you acquired Juan Soto, and I understand, Juan Boris, I almost said. Scott Boris is probably not going to extend that man with 2 years left on his deal or 2.5 when you get him or whatever. But that money should have gone to Soto. Then your core is Manny and Soto and Tatis, and you roll from there. But that's not what happened. So I think what you're saying sounds great, and I would love it too. I just don't want to run out of time. I don't want a 36-year-old Manny Machado trying to...
But you'll run out of time faster if, you go with Paul's plan and you go the aggressive emptying of the top prospects again to try to win this year, to pick up a Burns and a Bieber on a 1 year.
It's not so much that it's my plan. It's just that it's
a way
that we haven't really
way.
talked about, because how much longer does AJ really think he might have on his leash? And if he's really skating on thin ice, he's going to go down in flames.
That's borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
Robbing Peter
to pay Paul. Because even if you do that and have success, and again, not turning down a World Series title, but let's say you get to the NLCS again, Is that successful? If
Yes,
now,
it's successful.
But now
you make a buttload of money.
But now you have no more top prospects for next year. All the guys you traded for on
No,
one-year
you do.
contracts are gone.
You do.
And you still don't have a ton of money to sign free agents because, as you said, you've signed Tatis and Machado and Bogarts to these expensive deals. You will have nothing for 2025.
That's not the case. That's not true.
I think it is.
That's not true.
You'll have no way to replace the guys that you lost in free agency after 2024.
You'll be sitting on a financial windfall from making the playoffs, which you didn't have this year, which put you into a tailspin. You will be sitting on. No one empties their farm. I mean, you're going to have guys that are your hidden gem.
You're not trading spots 1 through 20 in your
Right,
top 25.
right. No, got rid of my 20 guys. No. And there's guys that I would imagine are still untouchable, and I bet you Salas is probably one of those guys. He doesn't move, but if you moved a Merrill or a Lesko,
but if
or
you
whatever,
have untouchable guys, can you actually acquire the big talented pitchers that you're speaking of at this point?
Well, and Patrick says, look, you can't kick the can down the road by trading prospects over and over. AJ Preller feels like he can because he feels like his great. And again, this isn't an opinion. This is what I've heard from 20 guys that know him. I've worked with him. He feels like he can restock the farm at the blink of an eye.
I'm happy for him.
He feels like that is his best, the thing that he is best at. That's his absolute strength, is restocking the farm. Guy's got it clocked, got it figured out.
But by the time he does it again, and he did it really fast this last time.
Really fast.
Like in 2 seasons, he restocked it. But even if it takes 2 more seasons to restock, so 2027, they're reloaded again in the farm. But now Bogarts is 34, Manny's 34 or 5. Tatis is now 28.
Well, is that what you're saying? You want to wait for these guys to develop and
Well, I know I want to be able to win in 25 and 26 when they're still younger. And if you're putting all your eggs into the 2024 basket, I think it's coming at the expense of 25 and 26.
Sean nails it. Players get older. Win now. There has to be the win now. You can't. It's not guaranteed even to the teams that spend the most money or the teams that have the best prospects or the team that do really well at the hybrid. The Dodgers have been great. The Dodgers have been so good at spending money and developing players. How many full-season championships they have? Zero.
Even they had last season where they did their scale-back year so they could hopefully win in 24, 25, and 26. That's what I'm saying. For the Padres, 2024.
They won 100 games. That was their scale back. Our scale back year needs to change.
Yeah, I'd love to see the Padres scale back year be like a Dodgers scale back year, but this is going to be a scale back year, I think, for the Padres, so they can have a stronger 25, 26, and 27 while these guys are still in their prime, as opposed to going all in and paying the piper in 25, 26, and 27.
I mean, paying the piper is one way to put it, but if you feel like you're best at one thing, you shouldn't be afraid to continue to do that. That's what he feels that he's the best at. Let him continue to do it. It doesn't. Also, let's be honest. Out of all the guys that he's brought up, give me your 3 favorite current Padres that AJ Preller has drafted and developed that are playing right now on our team. I'll just say, I'll wait.
There aren't 3 guys that he's drafted and developed that are on the team right now.
What are we talking about?
Steven Wilson is
Tom
probably
Cosgrove.
Tom Cosgrove.
I believe he came from somewhere else, actually.
And Luis Campusano.
Ray Kerr and Luis Campusano. Right?
Campusano's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know, man. Like, the win now mode, I can definitely be talked into. I would love, trust me, I would love to see all these guys take the next step for $750,000. It'd be great. You wouldn't have to worry about filling positions. But right now, I don't know that we're in that position. I just don't. So we'll see. If they trade Juan Soto or not will be a real tell as to the direction of the organization, in my opinion.
All right, we're going to take a time out. Paulie's got some headlines. Ryan will report to wrap things up in our final segment of Ben and Woods. It is next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Don't get it twisted, though. I do agree with you, Benjamin. I really do. I think, that's the, I don't want to say pie in the sky, but that's kind of that's the dream. How the Texas Rangers did it. They spent frivolously, and then some of the guys they spent frivolously upon didn't contribute much. They made really, really aggressive moves at the deadline. Got the guys that they thought that they needed to go out and win a world championship. Lo and behold, they did it, and they got massive contributions from scrap heap guys, and they got massive contributions from rookies. It's really, as the Dodgers have proven to us over and over, it's just very hard to win a World Series. And so I love your idea. I hope that all the Mad Friars that I read and subscribe to, and I hope that all of the Kylie McDaniels of the world, the Baseball Americas, I hope that they are right as rain when they say, now, don't worry, the last guys we all told you were going to be the next core, that wasn't it. This one is actually the core. I hope that that's the case, and I hope that this season in particular, all I can do is look at 2024 ahead of me and say to myself, am I going to be counting on contributions from 3 to 4 players that A.J. Preller has drafted and developed? Is that a big ask in your opinion?
Is
that a big ask?
Yeah, it is.
I'd say so.
And I know we're different kinds of sports fans as well. We do that hypothetical, which is really a personality test because you can never say, all right, I'll guarantee you 1 World Series, but the team is going to finish dead last the next 4 seasons.
Braden just pitched that to Coach, and Coach didn't take the World Series, which surprised the hell out of me.
And I don't either. I'm not that kind of fan.
Oh, my God.
I don't want to know that my team is going to be in last place for 4 straight years. I want them to have a chance every year. I want to be a fan of a team that has a chance to win a World Series 5 straight years. And if they don't win the one...
What if you get hit by a bus?
If they don't win the one, so be it. But I am in this for the long haul.
Well,
I'm not in it for one championship and then it was great being a fan and I'll see you in 5 years.
No.
I would hate that.
You would never.
I would hate that.
You would never.
I think you would hate it too.
Well, I
think you would hate it if you really thought about it.
But you could lament so you get a 5-year window. You win a World Series.
The joy of that one ring
is phenomenal.
Would outweigh the lamenting of the next 5 years.
I don't think I'd want to pay that price of knowing for 4 years my team is dead last. And they are going to stink every year. I need that even sliver of hope.
But they've stunk.
They didn't stink last year. They were very disappointing, but
they stunk.
They had the possibility of being a good team, though.
But that was even worse. They stunk.
I went into the season.
If there's a light at the
season
end,
with hope.
How long have you been a Padre fan?
I went into
40
season
some
with
odd
hope.
years?
Oh, there's been seasons where I went in with no hope at all.
Right.
I hated those years.
But you never had a World Series.
I've loved these last 10 years or so, or like 5 or 6 years.
But you never had one to fall back on.
I don't, but I like this more than
you.
I hated the years of no hope so much that I don't ever want to go back to that. I don't. Even for a World Series title, I do not want to go back to no hope baseball. That you show up at spring training.
But it's only 4 years. You can do that standing on your head.
I can't. I don't. I can't do it anymore. I have now tasted what being competitive is like, and I need that every year.
Wait till you taste what a World Series champagne magnum tastes like.
It'll be great, because then I'll think next year we're going to win another one. If you tell me you have no hope for 4 years, I don't want that. I don't. It doesn't mean enough to me. I want the competitive. I want the unknown possibilities.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
I want 4 World Series titles in 5 years.
You are crazy. You are crazy, dude. You are crazy.
I want 4 World Series titles out of 5. I want a dynasty. I want one of the great teams of all time. I don't want to cheer for a team that just is I don't want to be the Royals from what year did they win it? 2015?
Yeah.
I don't want to be that team. And then
Bro, they talk about it to this
in
day
8 years
Kansas
of
City.
crappiness. I don't want that.
They talk about it to this day.
I just don't want that. I don't want that. I'd rather not win the World Series than know it's going to be followed by a huge period of darkness.
Ask any Royals fan. Ask any Nationals fan. That's another team that was.
I'm telling you for myself. I'm not telling you how you think. I'm telling you how I think.
I think that's nuts. You've said some hot takes, but I think that one may be the hottest. You're talking. You've done 40 some odd years standing on your head with very little success in playoff appearances.
I don't
chip.
get a World Series ring. I don't get a giant bonus if they win the World Series.
It puts you on the map, dude.
I enjoy watching competitive, exciting baseball with a chance to win the World
Janine
Series.
says Ben's saying he wants to be the Dodgers.
I do. I mean, at least
You do a great job.
I think you're tripping, man.
I feel like
this is the only thing we got.
I feel like inevitably, if the Dodgers keep winning the division title, they get 10 more years of winning the NL West, they're going to get one at some point. They're going to get maybe 2. If the Padres don't step up and stop them, the Dodgers inevitably will win some World Series. We've been kind of lucky that they haven't at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you've been incredible.
They've had a decade of chances over and over again, and all they have is a meaningless one in 2020. If the Padres don't stop them, they're going to win a bunch more.
So you'd rather have that heartbreak and disappointment every October
than
just
get
getting
one out of the
guaranteed?
way.
Why am I getting heartbreak? I want 3 or 4 World Series titles. You're telling me I get one and nothing else. I want more than that.
Nothing, just 4 years.
No.
How many teams in
4 years
history
is a
have won
long
more
time.
than one? How many teams in history have won more than one in a span of 4 or 5 years? It's
Not
very,
many.
very few.
We could talk about
But
prospects for
almost
4
all
years
of them,
like we used to.
Almost all of them felt like they had chances the next year. There's very few World Series titles who come in the next year with no hope whatsoever. I don't want that.
Yeah, it's happened. Yeah, it's definitely happened. Didn't the Marlins, they won the World Series and dumped off all their players like immediately that one time? That's terrible.
I hated that. I hated that. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to go through that. I want to keep the players who helped us win the World Series and try to win again next year.
Alan says too, I want a winning franchise. Of course you do. Of course you do. It's gonna, if you can't see that it's going to be.
Now, if you told me there's no chance of winning a World
too.
Series, but you're going to win division titles every year, then give me the World Series. I need a chance. I need the opportunity to win at the end of the season. You can't take that away.
Patrick
hope.
says, ask Royals fans how they feel. It's interesting you bring that up. Because when I went to Wichita, which is close enough to Kansas City, a couple hours away, it's all they could talk about. We sat over Ziggy's Pizza, we drank beers, and we were watching the Padres, and Eric Hosmer strode to the plate, and they're like, oh, yeah, my boy Hos. And I looked at him and I go, are you effing kidding me? I think, bro, I would take him back for anything. You have no idea what that ring meant to this city. So that's how they feel. They can't stop. Our beloved Kathy, who's a tier 1, she loves the Royals, maybe more than I love my children. And she will always have that. She is diehard. She probably watches the DVDs. I would. Imagine they go on a run, they put the DVDs out. They wouldn't be on DVDs anymore because it's not 1999. But, Ben, we would do full shows on it for a year.
I just trust if you put out a good team year after year, you're going to get yours. I don't want to make a deal with the devil.
This is Sean just nails it. San Diego treats the 98 and 84 teams like gods. And they didn't win. They didn't even win. Imagine a World Series team here. I think it gets us through 2 years of content. They win the 24 World Series. We're good. And then we only have 2 bad years. Oh, we're rebuilding, guys. We're rebuilding. The future's bright. We got this kid out of Venezuela. He's going to be good. You can do that standing on your head. All the years you've done this. Oh, it is.
I just don't know what are you going to say more after you win it. It was great. It was great. I want the next one. I want the next season.
Well, that's what you're building towards. And just a couple of years, and we'll be back. We'll be back. It's not like you never win one again for your lifetime. That's a deal that's the deal with the devil. You get it now. You're going to die.
That's a hard no.
You're going to die at 88 years old, which means you have 40 years left.
And you get the one next year, but never again.
Never again?
No,
that's
no
tough
chance.
to sign up for.
It's not, not even non-starter.
But if you know that you're going to get one, I think you still sign that deal as bad
I've
as
seen a bunch
sucks.
of people say relatively the same thing in that if we already had one in franchise history, it's different.
It's different.
Getting that first one, just
break the seal. You want to get off that ESPN meme that they were tweeting out the night of the World Series. Only 5 left.
Let's check traffic. Paulie's got a couple headlines to wrap up the show next.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
No accidents to report at this time, but keep in mind that there is one-way traffic control along the 67 between Poway Road and Rock House Road. That goes until 3 o'clock this afternoon, so we are seeing quite a bit of slowing on the southbound side. Again, that's the 67 between Poway Road and Rock House Road, so give yourself extra time if that's your route. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report. with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right. Stayed spicy throughout that whole
Now,
traffic.
who texted you? Your
My brother, yeah.
Does he think like you?
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah. He
Sam.
just we grew
Come
up
on,
with so
Sam.
many bad years. I don't want to go through bad years anymore.
You know what's not a bad year? Winning a World
Especially
Series.
not guaranteed bad years.
Now, you turned
every
it on...
team goes through bad years.
You turned it on me and said, you don't know what it's like to root. Now, not for 40 years, I don't, but when I became a baseball fan, I was a Yankee fan in 85. They were horrendous for many, many, many years. Now, a decade. I was a kid, though. Then they got really good. I would turn that on you and say, you don't know what it's like to win a World Series. You don't. Hey, by the way,
If they had just won in 96, though, and gone back to being terrible, would that have satisfied everybody?
I would have been pretty happy as a 21-year-old kid.
They're not the Yankees, though, if they do that.
Well, no.
I want to be the Yankees. I want to be the Yankees.
Well,
I want to be the West Coast SoCal Yankees, who are dominant, multiple World Series titles, and baseball's the franchise you look up
I'd
to.
like my wife to make out with Paige Spiranak. I don't think it's going to happen.
That's what I want.
But like,
I don't want one and done.
Like, and I would flip it on you and say, if I don't know the pain of losing all the seasons, you don't know the joy of being in the stadium when your team wins a World Series.
It's true, I do not.
There's nothing like
Or
it
a
on
Super Bowl
on the
title,
planet.
or an NBA
There's nothing
championship,
like it on the planet.
Almost
Nothing.
had an NCAA. It came one game away from that one, but no.
There's nothing like it on
No
the planet.
titles in my lifetime.
Just got to get one.
Start off Major League Baseball. We talked about this, I think, last week. Alex Bregman, his name was swirling around in trade rumors. And what the hell are the Astros thinking? Well, Bregman will be a free agent after the 2024 season. And the Astros general manager said, yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. We're not trading him. Dana Brown talked to reporters yesterday in Nashville. He said, I don't know where this whole Bregman rush is coming from, but it's certainly not coming from us because we need Bregman. He's a pillar for this club. So
1,000. I was blown away
that
when
was
I
like,
saw
what
that.
are they don't make a lot of stupid
Certainly
decisions.
wouldn't want to be Joe Espada taking over the job and going and do it without Alex Bregman the first year. Thanks a lot.
He's going to help you. He's going to be like one of your right-hand men, dude. Yeah.
All right, and then we're just going to skip to our third story.
Sorry, we took all your time, Paul,
Sorry,
today.
Paul. I could have done this debate for 4 hours, by the way.
Now, Benny, you sent this over. Brenda Lee sings one of the
This
most
was
classic Christmas
This was
songs.
on the ABC World News last night, and I was floored.
Everybody knows this one.
Of course.
And
give me some of her voice.
This is just the instrumental that came with that story there.
Okay.
But she hit number 1 on the charts for the first time ever. The song was released 65 years ago.
And it's Rocking Around the Christmas Tree.
Rocking Around the Christmas Tree.
Okay.
And she became the oldest artist to ever top the charts at the age of 78. And then the fun fact here was that
Do the math.
She was 13.
She's 78 now when she got to number 1.
65 years ago.
She was 13 when she recorded that song.
Wow.
13.
She doesn't sound like a 13-year-old.
No, that floored me. Brenda Lee, 13
Rocking
years
around.
old. They said they brought her into a Nashville studio in the middle of summer.
That blew my mind. 13
They
years old.
decorated like Christmas. She said it was hot as all get out in there in the middle of summer before air conditioning in Nashville. Decorated like Christmas and had her sing Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, which is still going strong and now number 1 65 years later. 13 years old.
13. She sounded
Yeah.
50?
I thought she'd maybe...
Now, I don't know. Do Christmas songs always typically hit the top of the charts this time of year when they're popular? And
I know
and
Mariah
it was just
Carey
her
always
turn?
hits the charts usually every
Right.
December
Yeah, maybe
again,
this
yeah.
year it was just Brenda Lee's turn, or
Perhaps.
was it one of those, like, remember a few years ago, the guy skateboarding with the cranberry,
cranberry,
juice
and
playing
Fleetwood Mac.
Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, and all these young
it got
kids are
some
on
help
TikTok
from
going,
TikTokers
this
and
band's
everything.
great.
Because of the 65-year anniversary, I think it got some help from social medias and,
I have a hot
and
take.
rocketed it up.
We don't need any more Christmas songs.
You're done.
You can't. You're not going to write the next great
you
classic.
feel like all these songs were around forever, but they weren't. They were all new at some point when they came out.
All right, when's the last classic Christmas song? When was it written?
Probably Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
That was when?
And that was
91, 89,
question,
I don't know.
Was that her song, All I Want for Christmas Is You?
Yeah,
She wrote it?
I think that was hers.
Are you sure?
1994.
Did she write it, Paulie?
I don't think it was. I think
believe
she was
that
the
was
first to
hers.
record it. I don't know if she wrote it, but
No,
Well, you know what I mean.
I don't think it's a cover or anything.
I don't think you need to write it. If you're a band right now and you're like, let's scratch out and see if we can hit the next holy, Silent Night. I don't think you're going. I think we're good.
There's a difference between a carol, though, and then
That's true. A Christmas song.
A Christmas, like a rock and roll-y Christmas song.
Well, that was a fun show.
Think we're in any trouble today?
Get to do it again tomorrow, probably. All right, we'll be back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Coach and Braden are up next. For Paul Reindl, our executive producer, imaging director. For Stephen Woods, the troublemaker over there. I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday from all of
AKA
us
the
here
cook.
at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.